All right, we are recording. It is July 5th, 2020, just after 7 o'clock Eastern Time. In case you don't know by now, I'm Matthew Brownstein. That seems silly to say at this point. And this is the Anahat Meditation System, lesson number 6, meditation 7. Welcome again, everybody who's joining in, and say hello. So, it's often a little confusing that we have lesson numbers and meditation numbers, and it's not like every week lesson 1 is meditation 1. Some of them overlap a little or blend in together. So again, we're on lesson 7, no, lesson 6, meditation 7, something like that, with the training manual. And keep us on track as we get going. There were 2 questions, but before we get into those, let me just give you the overview of where this is going. You get some sense now of the system, right? And it's not something I always like to say because it's just so significant to me that it's not something I invented. It's just something I'm honored to be experiencing. I understand it well. I understand why I am the person who's teaching this stuff. My background in Chinese medicine, energetic healing, and shiatsu, and like all these things that help me to understand. Yet, yeah, I didn't invent this. So every time I watch it or be with it, I was like, wow, like, wow. And I was telling the group before we started, I was putting together today's training manual because past Matthew somehow didn't do that or didn't save it properly. So we didn't have last week's or this week's, so I'd spent a little time working on that. And when I was putting this one together, pulling from the Journals of Michael Devane, which is the book, The Anahat Meditation System, formerly known as the Journals of Michael Devane. I like that name. I might change it back, honestly, at some point. So the journal entries are really my journal entries. The story is fiction, but every experience the lead character has, Michael Devane, is me, and that's, those are real experiences. And I kind of forgot I used to write poetry. And Michael's poetry is, Matthew's past poetry was, I don't know, for me, it was really enjoyable to read because it was just so full of passion for God, and this mystical love affair reminds me of why I'm a monk at heart. And so I'll share with you one of those poems today that I put into the training manual. So this meditation that we're moving into, meditation 7, is called the Star Reversed. These things are so beyond words, yet I was meditating on it a lot this week, gradually pacing more and more into it as we got to this class. Usually during the week, before the class, I start really embodying any one meditation, just as I ask you to do, like spend a week or a month on descending and know what that energetic is like, know what the heart is like, know what the third eye region, the head, the spiritual level is like. Be intimate with your sexual energy, right? Really embrace your sexual being. And then we start circulating that. Meditation 5. Meditation 6, you got a sense of how the star integrates everything. And what that is so much more than words could ever explain. And then how it ends right back at the heart. And you get a really good sense of 1, 2, 3. But then once it's all complete, Anahat is the center of that. This meditation adds a new component called the microcosmic orbit we'll get into today. We'll start to explore a little bit more Taoist and Chinese medical philosophies because we'll be looking at 2 of the energy meridians today. The one you kind of already know, but we'll go in depth into it. And then I'll do some screen share. I found some nice pictures on Google Images to share with you guys in relationship to this. This one absolutely embraces the sexual energy again. Meditation 6, you can kind of avoid it, right? You can breathe down to the region of the heart. And that's like second chakra, but you don't have to go all the way down to the genitals, all the way down to tailbone or first chakra. This one inevitably goes there. And for the past few days, I've been saying the Spirit, hey, teach me, explain to me, help me to understand more of what it is. Not that I don't already have insights, but where we're going to go with today is very much beginner's mind. Right? When I talked to you last week about stages of spiritual growth, we talked about stage 1, seeking the ox, the beginner who just says, I don't know who I am. Today, that's more relevant than ever, no matter how far along you are in the path. And if you're really far along in the path, you better have don't know mind, because the moment you think you know who you are, you nail yourself down, you label yourself, right? If I define Matthew and, tell me about Matthew, he's this, 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 and this. Well, what about all those other things that exist in the universe? So, like the name Michael or Michael, if you try to get the right pronunciation, that's kind of my name on the astral level, if you will. Michael Devane is like a deeper level of how I know myself. And, if I limit myself only to, like when I was a child, I was called Matt. And I went to the Zen monastery and shaved my head, which I'm tempted to do because I can't get a good haircut anymore during COVID. You can, but you could die. So I'm doing it myself. So if I shave my head, it might be for that reason. But when I did shave my head at the monastery and, kind of like took bodhisattva vows and like real vows, not to always live in a monastery and not to always be celibate, but to really embrace spirituality at the highest level possible. Then I took my birth name, Matthew. Yet over the years, there's like a resonance, even this deeper, Michael. So I'm saying this only about me because I want to help to unfold you, and the system will unfold you in the most beautiful ways. It opens to idea of what's called crazy wisdom, of not knowing who you are, of not being willing to be bound by labels, definitions, not thinking you really know anything about you. And we won't play the game now for the sake of time of me saying, okay, who are you? And then demanding answers, right? And then you give me your name. I'm like, no, that's your name. And then, well, I'm a mother, I'm a father. I'm like, no, like if you didn't have a child, like that's just a temporary thing, right? And it's not who you are. In deep meditation, there's no mind. And so there's no labels. If I say, who are you? But your mind isn't allowed to speak. Here's a quote. The thought is the thought of the thoughtless. You can spend the next 20 years meditating on that. The thought is the thought of the thoughtless. You're the thoughtless. You're spirits. You emanate thought. Yet when you emanate thought, if you define yourself with your thoughts, you miss everything. You're not a body. You're a spirit. And the glory of who you are is these. As you get to level 2 of this system, I was practicing that last night. I'm trying to kind of pace with you guys, but I can't help, and I want to go to the higher levels of this and just keeps getting better and better. And it gets better every day, but I've been doing it for so long now. It's so good. The glory of level 2 with this system of who you really are is going to blow your mind. So this meditation today loosens you up. And loosens you up means let everything go. Every idea of who you think you are, every idea of who you think you are as a sexual being, who you are in relationship to others, like just your name, anything that defines you, let it go. So there's kind of a little warning here, but I think you already got that when we started, which is best not to begin, but once begun, better finish. Let me pause on that notion and say, one of the questions I had during the week was somebody who's been traveling who only got to do meditation 1, and it was saying she wants to master meditation 1 before moving on. And then when should she move on? My response about that word master meditation 1, mastery takes 10 to 20 years of doing something. If you kept waiting to master meditation 1, you would not experience the whole system. The word is proficiency, not mastery. Proficiency, I've done my best to explain what that means, and I want you to tap into your own intuition and say, all right, I'm doing meditation 1, I'm ready to move on. So I usually say in the beginning of these videos, it's okay to be watching these videos. They're on YouTube, they're public, but if you're watching this and you haven't started the actual meditation system yet, go find the introduction to Anahat meditation 2.5-hour video. It's on onlinemonastery.com, and watch that first. So if you're here now and you feel like this stuff is great, I love the potential, but I'm not even close to even being good at meditation 1 yet. Somebody said to me the other day, is it ego that I don't want to get on the meditation cushion? I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. The part of you that you have to discipline to get on the cushion still needs to just get on the cushion, let alone to appreciate what's happening inside of you. So the example I gave to this student in the email was the idea of doing a yoga class. Let's say we start with mountain pose, where you're just Tadasana. You're just standing, that's the Sanskrit name, that pose. You're just standing, basically standing. 2 feet together, arms by your side, just standing and breathing. let's say you said, I'm not going to do any more yoga until I master Tadasana, until I master mountain pose, so I can just stand here, which is a deep Tai Chi practice, just, and deep Zen practice, just standing. But if you kept waiting until you could just stand really well or do pose one well, you wouldn't go on to do the entire hour and a half yoga flow, or all the different poses, and they're all beneficial. So just because you're doing forward bends, right, there's a reason why you do a forward bend and then you do a back bend, because you're counter stretching the spine. You don't just only stretch the left and the right side. So it's okay to not feel that you've mastered any of this stuff. It's okay that you're not even feeling proficient at it. There's some times when I'm meditating and the energy is doing just what it's supposed to do. My mind is clear, like descending. It's all just going right where it needs to be. And then sometimes, it's a little all over the place, and I gotta get it back into where it's balanced. And that's just a daily practice. But part of my job, I know, because I'm like hired by someone here, like speaking for whatever gives me, for spirit that guides this meditation system. My job is to motivate, right? To help you to understand why you want to get on the cushion. And I hope today, especially when we get on the cushion, I can start to give you some sense of how, I'm going to say it this way, how freaking good this meditation feels. It's just so worth getting into. This stuff we're going to get into today, especially what I was feeling before we started, because like the half hour before I start class, I get everything all prepared, like everything, very ready, in the zone the best I can be for you guys. And then I sit here for like a half hour just waiting for you to show up. And I'm doing the meditation of the day. I'm like, oh God, this is really nice. Oh yeah, okay, oh wow, that's really nice. Like that's what the past half hour was for me. So I really want you guys to experience that. Okay. I like what's in the chat pod because the word poo is there. So let me see. It says, I find that a poo's philosophy and respects to the unknown is the best beginner's mind to have. Beautiful. LOL, she said. Yeah, great book, The Tao of Pooh. And yeah, like Winnie the Pooh is one of the ultimate masters. When Christopher Robin says something about bees, Winnie the Pooh says, you never can tell with bees. And that's like perfect Taoist Zen wisdom, is you never can tell with bees. You don't know who you are, right? So thank you for what you just shared. Have don't know mind, Zen mind, beginner's mind. You can read that book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and be willing for crazy wisdom to just say, I don't know who I am, but I'm willing to be destroyed. I'm willing to just have my insides be completely opened. And like you can't fully understand these grids, the way these energies move, what they're all about. It's just a lifetime of embracing and studying and being with. But what happens with, so we have three major centers in the system, right? You have the hara, the heart, and the head. If you could say, well, what is the hara? What is that energy about? You say, well, it's physical, body, first chakra. And I realized I didn't teach the chakras anywhere near as much as I could. I'm assuming you guys know about them. So you guys might want to study the chakras more. Eventually, we could spend more time on really explaining what they are. I don't think I've done that justice. So the lower chakras very much deal with the hara. But the second chakra, which is very much what the hara is always related to pleasure. And more for me, that's what it is. Like that whole area of your being, if you're not blocked, if you're healthy, if you're not, people can feel some pleasure there for like 10 minutes every, a day or something if you're just leaking bucket, right? You guys probably know what I mean. When you're learning to contain and sublimate and be with the sexual energy and it's just there. You're not doing anything about it. It's just no different than having a head or ears. It's like, oh, these are ears. What do they do? Right? Everything in Sanskrit has what's called a niyati. Niyati kind of means like purpose or rule. It's often translated as rule, but it's kind of like, what is the niyati of a cloud, right? And you can't limit it to one word, but like a cloud rains. What is the niyati of a mountain? Well, I don't know, but God, I love them. I was hiking the mountains today up here, mountain climbing and rock climbing. It was awesome. So, what's the purpose of all these things? You never want to limit. What is the purpose of a huge granite mountain? What's the purpose of a trail in the woods? I don't know, but I like this stuff, right? So everything has a purpose. What is the niyati of your second chakra, of your sexual energy? And I don't want to confuse you when I say second chakra, and then we talk about the first at the very base of the spine. What I'm actually alluding to here is that whole area can just be very pleasurable with sexual energy. It's just there. People make a big deal out of it, but it's there. So when we say hara, hard head, hara, pleasure. That's it. Like, get over yourselves, people, and just enjoy some pleasure. And then the heart, love. And then the head, spirits. Pleasure, love, spirit. Like, that's who you are. If you're okay with that, then when I talk about activated sexual energy, which is there all the time, your inside's just like always amazing. And again, I look back at my journal entries from, I don't know, those were probably written in 1996, 95, in the 90s. And that's a long time ago. It's not like I just stumbled across this stuff when these revelations started coming to me. Not that I wasn't already tapping into God, or I don't think I would have tapped into the revelations. Like revelation is not a two-way street, by the way. Revelation comes from God to us, not from us to God. So if something is revealed, you just have to accept it. But to be open enough for revelation really does require that you're very open. So anyway, I'm here to motivate you guys about how good this is, and of course to explain it. All right, let me see. So that was one of the questions, the theme of, should I be moving on? When should I move on? You do the whole yoga class, right? Do all the poses, and you won't be as good at all the poses right away. You know, you watch people are very flexible, and I do want to do yoga, and my entire exercise and movement practice with you guys. I know you've been interested in the fitness nutrition side of this. It's worth it. We'll probably spend a class or two on body movement, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, even working out. Like, you know, how can you, no matter how old your body is, like, how can you take really good care of your body in ways that'll make you feel phenomenal, really better than anybody I've ever known. Like, the way I feel most of the time is better than anybody I ever know. And I just hope someday I can give you guys a feeling of like, well, my fingers feel like I'm so loose and flexible. Everything's like a sphere and it's just alive. You know, people are filled with tension and pain. I mean, look, like, my whole body is so loose and so open. I want you guys to experience that, but it's also strong and balanced and flexible. And that comes from a lot of yoga, a lot of Tai Chi, and then, you know, strength training to keep muscle tone. All right, so great. Somebody said, I love Tai Chi. So yeah, we can get into some of that. And it'll show you just how loose and how open, but how strong your system can be. Okay, so that was one of the questions. Just go through the whole training at your own pace, but don't hold yourself back thinking you have to have mastery or even high levels of proficiency for each meditation. I'm going to paraphrase the other really good question that came in because it was kind of long. It was, while up kind of in the head area, our student was aware of thoughts, kind of, you might say, negative thoughts, worries, that, you know, I won't go into all the words, but, you know, like human emotion kind of stuff. But then she brought all of that, those thoughts, to the region of the heart and moved into the place of anahat. And anahat, remember, in the deepest sense means unstruck, a bell that is not yet rung, the pure potential of the whole universe. And even though it might be easier to find that on the higher chakras, eventually you're absolutely going to realize anahat is here, is in your heart, because God is everywhere, spirit is everywhere. Excuse me. So what happened for our student, which seemed like a new experience, and then there's a question there about, like, can others do this and can it be used for physical healing? Absolutely. So when you take, it's a very good question, and I want to explain it in a way that anybody could grasp. But, you know, the way you were processing there is pretty deep. So when you take a thought and you just move it to any other chakra, inherently what you did was say, like in Course in Miracles, there's always another way to look at something. So if you're caught up in a certain way of thinking, you're just stuck in, like in NLP, we would call it a negative kinesthetic, right? You're feeling bad and you're stuck feeling bad. But if I can get you to, instead of negative kinesthetic, if I could get you to do visual, positive visual, like, I feel bad. Okay, well, here's a positive image. And if you start focusing on that, you can have a shift in your consciousness. You know, where a hypnotherapy school is one of my primary things, and I teach a lot of ways to make mental shifts to bring about mental emotional health, but this question was asked about, can we use this for physical health and healing? Absolutely. The whole system is amazing for your physical health and amazing for healing. And when you bring energy up and down and down and up and up and down, and right when it's moving all through your being, you're not limited. You're embracing your whole self. Energy is moving. You're not letting anything get stuck or blocked. So it wouldn't really matter so much, but like taking a thought, something negative, you're caught up here to your heart, and then breathing there. And what this advanced practitioner talked about is you move that into anahat, into the emptiness of spirit. This is taught in our hypnotherapy school in the pain management section with a teaching from the Heart Sutra of Buddhism. I only spent like 10 minutes on it, but well, it's 10-minute meditation. Then maybe I talked for a half hour on it. So more than what you hear. But the idea is, in the Heart Sutra of Buddhism, it begins saying Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, meaning a great saint was practicing Prajnaparamita, which is deep insight looking at the heart of what is, the Heart Sutra, the Anahat Chakra. The heart of what is, when you look deep into everything, in Buddhism is called shunya. Shunya means empty, empty of a separate self. And in Buddha's enlightenment, that's pretty much what he declared. He said, actually what he said was, with his hands one up and one down, he said, between heaven and earth, I alone am the Holy One. Like, what does that mean? You know, who could say such a thing? Between heaven and earth, I alone am the Holy One. What Buddha was implying is there's only the Holy One. There's only Buddha nature. There's only God. It's not like that man was named Siddhartha Gautama. He didn't say between heaven and earth, there's only Gautama. No, he's saying between heaven and earth, there's only God, that there's only God. It's not like between heaven and earth, there's just only God. To understand that, Buddha experienced the emptiness of all manifest being. That everything you think you see is really just a mirage. It's just energy, one energy. So Buddha talked about no self, no individual self. While you're caught in your head all anxious and worried and stressed and caught in the past, and caught, one of your words was grief, right? Caught in the past, caught in the future. It's not reality at all. So you take that, and there's lots of ways to deal with that, of course, but and this person brought it to the heart, brought it into emptiness, and then realized there's no individual self. There's no one there to make you neurotic. And that's really Buddha's enlightenment, was when all of that stuff was gone, where he looked and he couldn't find a separate self anymore. There was no one in there to be grieving or worried or neurotic or stressed or worried about money or any of those things. Or just, I think I said to you guys in one of the classes, when you look at a beautiful Zen being, like sweeping the floor, there's just no one home. There's just pure sweeping. So yes, the more you stick with this, and today will help you to understand, everybody, to understand the health benefits of this system, because they're really significant, and therefore, the healing benefits. Okay, somebody said, when focus is placed at chakra 2, or the pleasure area, I could feel my heart smiling or widening. Beautiful. It's all connected, right? The head bone's connected to the shin bone. Your heart chakra's connected to your second chakra. They really are. It's not like you have one chakra independent of another chakra. The chakras all correspond with each other. So, for instance, your heart chakra is love. Your second chakra in that whole area, we're just going to say for simplicity, is pleasure. The lower chakras are more than just pleasure, but I like that idea that we're just going to embrace, hey, this feels good, right? So, there it is. That when you're making love with somebody, that can be just second chakra. It can be just very animal, physical, but then you can bring in the heart, and people often confuse that. They try to get love through sex. The beauty about the Anahat system is you're getting all of it inside of you, and the ability to share that with another person. Right? Some of you are couples who are going through this training. The time you start bringing that into, and I hope you already are experimenting with it, you're bringing Tantra into it, you sit next to each other, on each other's laps. So usually male is in the bottom, and the woman sits with her legs around the man, and your chests are against each other, and you should breathe into your heart chakras together. But it starts with descending. So you breathe into the second chakras together. You feel those touching. You breathe and feel your hearts touching. You can touch your foreheads. And don't know who you are. Like, where do you begin? Where does your partner end? And then you pull all the energy down to the sexual organs and you're blending that energy together. Then you're breathing it up the spine together over the top and circulating it at the third eye. Right? So this can absolutely, and in many ways it's meant to be, I mean, I didn't design this, so it's meant to be in relationship. Yet for a monk, like the feeling it inside is so wonderful. But yeah, at any point when it feels appropriate for you guys in your life with the right person, experience this with someone else. Tantra makes meditation so easy, because if you're sitting with your partner and you're feeling so much love in your heart between each other, well, there's your heart chakra, right? That wasn't hard. It's so much easier than, I'm not saying, again, there's a reason to be alone and in solitude in practice. There's tremendous value. We've talked about that, of monks who go into solitude and don't want to be in a relationship. Yet when you have the chance to sit there and share that with another human being, it's really easy. Like you say, all right, meditate on the lower chakras. Like, oh, that's really hard work. I don't want to get on the cushion. Get on the cushion and feel incredible sexual pleasure with your partner. Okay, it's not so hard to do. All right, so I'm teaching you like the discipline of a meditation practice, but you don't always want it to be discipline. You want it to be bliss and joy. It's not meant to be difficult to sit still. It's not meant to be difficult to breathe into your heart. This stuff should feel wonderful. So that's kind of where we're going with it. So thank you for that comment on placing your, place attention in the second chakra, the pleasure area, and you can feel your heart smiling and widening. Today's meditation, and I don't know when you start feeling what I feel. In fact, what I was feeling a half hour ago, whatever, before class started, I've never felt to that level, because God, here's the thing about God. Paramahansa Yogananda, the great yogic saint, he said, God is ever new joy. And in A Course in Miracles, it says, if you want to understand the peace of God, the only thing you can understand is it's not like anything you've ever experienced in the past. That's always true. Like what I just experienced a half hour ago, again, for like whatever, like that's the best I've ever experienced of the Anahat meditation system. And tomorrow will be even better. Right? That's how it works. If you haven't caught on to the metaphor yet of what would feel better, bring that into your tantric practice with your partner. Just, honey, what would feel better? That was good. What would feel better? It seems hedonistic, but that's just a word. Right? If my second chakra is pleasure, my heart is love and is filled with pleasure, and spirit, God, is pure pleasure, I was just a seeker of truth. If truth was something other than pleasure, I'd be embracing it, but, you know, not so bad. Someone said, I dreamed of dancing last night and my partner and I became one in the dance. It's beautiful. When we get to astral projection, we'll most likely, ask me, I'm sure we do, we'll talk about astral sex. Like what is this thing called sex? What is union? What does it mean for two to come together into one? When you're one with God, there isn't that. There's only oneness. Yet when there's an emanation, now you have, and I'm okay with female, female, male, male, but I'm just going to speak traditional yin-yang terms. When yin-yang come out, there's male, female. And then there's this dance that occurs. We talked about it between lover and beloved. Right? This meditation today is going to really push that envelope of just how incredibly good you can feel. But it does something that, and I'll give you a lot of intro, and I hope that's beneficial and answer your questions as we go. I hope you just are willing to let go of everything you think you are and be willing for up to be down and down to be up and in to be out and out to be in and male to be female, female to be male. Like just don't know, because God is not anywhere near as limited as your ego. There's the entire universe, and if somebody told you there's a big bang, lots of bling, a big bang, and black holes and galaxies and supernovas, a few hundred years ago, you wouldn't even believe them. And now you're like, oh yeah, that's what's going on. There's like no big deal, right? There's a huge universe with Hubble Space Telescope images that blow your mind. Don't think you know who you are. And this meditation can really move us in. Well, it will move you into that if you do it. Okay, that's that stuff. Let's start going through the training manual. I kind of forgot we have to do that. I watch the videos of these, and I don't like when the camera image is really little, so Let's see what we can do. All right, that'll be the best we can do for now. Anahat meditation lessons, workbook and audio recordings, not CDs. Anahat teachings. Look how good you're doing. We're all the way around to the 7 o'clock position here. I'll explain that glyph as we move along. Lesson 6, meditation 7, the star reversed. When this came to me, I had been practicing not that long. When the 6-point star came to me, I'm again in the woods, Kripalu Yoga Ashram, 10 hours a day, not living in the building, not eating anything but like rice and milk, my friends bringing me food. I mean, like, it was insane amounts of meditation. All I did, just stayed in my tent, meditated, hiked, exercised, did some yoga, Tai Chi, some exercise, but then back in the tent meditating. And that's when all this stuff started happening. After, I'd have to check my journals. I think I wrote it down, but it's less than a week, I would guess. The star started doing something different. It started reversing its movement spontaneously, again, not by my intellect or anything trying to invent this. It's like, oh, it just did something different. But honestly, it didn't. I got what it was doing. It was like, oh, that's neat. But now I can really tell you, maybe in 10 years, I'll be able to tell you more. And you'll be able to tell you more as you just keep practicing. Because the system, remember, every geometry form, every symbol has multiple levels of meaning. And the nice thing about geometry is the symbol, like look at the triangle, any one triangle on the screen. A triangle can represent itself. I can say, what is triangle? And you can say, oh, well, that's the 3-sided thing. But a triangle could also represent, like an ascending, let's look at other one. An ascending triangle could represent male sexual energy, right? 2 testicles up to, in Tantra, the male penis is a lingam. So 2 testicles up into the male lingam. And then ovaries down to yoni. Yoni is the term for the vagina, which is such a nicer word than other English words for that. So yeah, the female vagina, the female sexual region, or that's the yoni. So you have 2 ovaries going down to yoni. So the symbol can represent much more than just a simple triangle. There's revelation, therefore, in that, because you say, well, is it just arbitrary that Matthew just made up that an ascending triangle is more masculine? And no, I didn't invent that. You can research this stuff left and right, and there's a lot of consistency in traditions, not because people just all get, like, why are there pyramids all over the world? Nobody understands really, but there's just something about building this structure. I'm not going to go into that topic, even though I've researched it a lot. But if you study the pyramids, you start to grasp there must be something about a tetrahedron shape. Like, why is that there? So, because the structure that can outlast any other structure. Okay, well, that's one reason. All right, well, it's a burial chamber. Probably not, but maybe that's why. Well, then it's a tuned sacred resonance chamber. Well, yeah, maybe, I think so. All right, so there's reasons for these things, and the more you meditate on them, the more they reveal to you. So even though I'm introducing you to this system, I'm not going to be the end all of explaining to you what each of these symbols mean. Your inner teacher, the Holy Spirit, your spirit within you, will be telling you, like somebody said just before, we're talking about meditating on the 2nd chakra, pleasure filled your heart with smiles. And then you're like, they're connected. You don't need me to tell you that. You just spend time in your own body, right? So this is a male body, so I obviously have more experience with that. Yet what we're going to learn today is the energy grids they're not only masculine or feminine. They're both masculine and feminine. They're circles, they're spheres, and they're straight lines, right? So look in the screen, you've got straight lines, you've got curved lines. And if you notice, there's actually a lot more curved lines, right? If you can feel your spine someday, I hope you can feel what I feel someday on my spine. Everything is like a pivot point. My body, I hope you can see, someday I'll show you, yoga and movement practice. For a 47-year-old guy, I'm remarkably limber and flexible, and like I'm just so loose and comfortable. I want you to experience that. So this meditation is really going to open it. Again, I'm doing more motivational talk. Remember the copyright, don't teach this to others. It's the same glyph as last time, and I'll I'll explain it in two ways. Try to watch the cursor, which is not all that good to show you where energy goes. I'll get on the cushion, then I'll show you, and we're gonna look at some screen share of some Google images to show you. So, bear with me, of course, in the explanation. Let's review. We start with meditation one at the heart. This is not sexual energy, thank God, because you don't always want to have to be dealing with sexual energy, especially when it's impure, or impure meaning maybe wounded, maybe even really hurt in that way, unfulfilled in that way. People have a lot of issues, right? You guys know. So we don't have to deal with sexual energy with meditation one. We go to the hara. We're just focused, precise, grounded. I thank God for that, because the other stuff is so off the charts. And like I said, dysfunctional levels of being when you're feeling this good. And descending is really what keeps us sane and grounded, present to be a human being. And that's what we're doing, when we embrace meditation one. Not sexual energy. I really need to emphasize that, because from this point on in the system, you almost can't escape the sexual energy. We then pull the energy of the hara, just concentrated focus, up to the heart. We open the heart to love. We're connecting to who we really are, self-love, loving everything about you. Nothing can be disowned or suppressed or judged. Like whoever you are as you unfold yourself, well, that's what is, right? You're created by God. You're not your own creator. You couldn't have possibly created these geometries and this perfection. I was looking at this glyph, but one similar the other day. And I'm like, I'm still always amazed. Just take a moment. Here's a crown of the head where the point is. Here's the chin. There's the third eye. Look at the way the shoulders, oh no, that's not this glyph, but yeah. From chin to a chromial process of the shoulder right here at the edge. Look at the line on the edge of the shoulder. Like, you didn't do that, right? Then this line across representing the level of the clavicles, right here where lung 1 is in Chinese medicine, the nipples, the V shape of your obliques, your exact spot of your navel, this where the hara is, even though it's not Western. And then here at the tailbone, when you go straight back in, right there's the tailbone. How did that happen? I'm sure there's evolution. I'm sure there's creation. I'm sure there's transmigration. I'm sure it's holographic. It's just all of it and so much more. So as you're embracing all of who you are, the heart just says, you're sad, be sad. It'll move through you. Just stop suppressing. Allow you to keep your heart open. Yeah, there's a brief overview in that. But the heart being the center of Anahat and being Anahat. And, like the mystery of all mysteries, really, is you say, why is the heart so important? Why do all of these things converge at the heart center? And then the third eye region, ascending, meditation 3, we start tapping into spirit in the unmanifest, spirit in the absolute, God beyond the beyond. The experience of God beyond the beyond cannot be had in a body. Sorry, but it's just, you can't be aware of your body or even be in your body and experience what we call a 7th chakra, 7th level experience. I don't have time to explain that today. It's in our hypnotherapy school, but it's so deep. I know when I teach that, most students, it's like, okay, whatever, next. But I will eventually, because we touched upon it already today, talking about the cross correspondence of the chakras. There's different levels of creation, of manifestation, physical plane, and then everything in between, all the way back to God beyond the beyond. In between are all these levels that manifest into the physical plane and into the human form. So 7th chakra is like microcosmic, you as we'll call it, soul. When you're out of your body, that you can go all the way back to the 7th level, which is God beyond the beyond, or 7th heaven. But the word heaven there is kind of misleading, because heaven has imagery in your mind. This level is beyond all imagery. A 7th chakra, 7th level experience is absolutely part of the enlightenment process. You couldn't be enlightened without that. But enlightenment, if we talk about self-realization, but better, self-actualization, in this model, it's more complete than anything I've ever known about what true completion is, true wholeness is. So the highest of ascending is not just when you're sitting in your body breathing into this area. The highest ascending is eventually going to be the highest levels of samadhi. And I'll keep guiding you guys into that more and more, because that really is the goal, if there's a goal. But because you're doing human, the goal is to integrate all of that glory into your every moment experience. And while you can say, oh yeah, he's just sitting, he's just walking, he's just eating. Yeah, but he's aware of the cosmos at the same time. He, she, I'm not referring to any one person, just anybody who's self-realized at the levels we're talking about is aware of things at every moment that most people just haven't tapped into, even though just sitting, doing nothing and accomplishing everything. I was telling about my parents this morning. Every Sunday morning we talk, and I was saying about like amazing miracles, all this cool stuff happening in my life, and I'm like, and I do nothing. My mom's like, no, you do lots of things. I'm like, all right, we won't go there, but no, like I do nothing. And then all these amazing things happen. So again, motivational talk to encourage you guys to stay on the path. Then we descend back down to the sexual energy. We start to really meditation for. We start, so cursor, at the very bottom there. We start to really feel what's there, purify what's there, heal what's there. And the whole idea of meditation 1, descending, is to find your chi and cultivate your chi. That'll take years. That's what one of the students asked about, can we move on if we haven't cultivated our chi? Yeah, move on. But when we get to meditation 12, or packing the bones with chi, obviously that's going to mean more after 5 or 10 years of finding and cultivating your chi. Just keep practicing. Now with meditation 4, we're taking the cultivated power of consciousness and love and spirit, and we're infusing the sexual energy. That's powerful stuff. Then that's meditation 4. And then we circulate that up into the brain, into the higher chakras. It's called the dew meridian, where we look at today more in depth, called the governing vessel. Doesn't matter what it's called, but I like to just use English word for that. It's the back central channel, is what I call it in hot lingo. So we inhale from the sexual energy up, and then what happens in the stars, we're circulating that in meditation 6 through the whole system. We've got spirit with sexual energy and love, and then we inhale to that. We exhale it to the shoulders. You're like, and it opens this whole area. Then you inhale it down to the, let's say the hara, but you can touch upon the sexual energy there if you want to. And then it's like you gather it all again. So it's this recirculated energy that exponentially grows with every cycle. To the point, honestly, especially with meditation 7, I'm going to do today, it'll get so pleasurable, you need to stop because it feels so good. So, similar to similar sexual experiences. I think we talked about this briefly, but like after like an orgasm, it's like, okay, just like enough, can't, like too much, stop. This gets like that. I was like, okay, God, like stop, just okay, I got it, okay, just like rest, just. So again, this meditation is gonna stir some stuff up we're getting into today. Meditation 6, the 6-pointed star, is more contained, and that's really why I left the same image here, even though it's the relevant image. So look at the dark golden triangles. You have the ascending triangle, the more narrow. It's confined within the body. Meditation 7 starts to go beyond the limits of the body, and it starts moving energy in other directions. It's hard. It's the hardest one of the system. It's the hardest to understand. But I think my insights from all the years, including the past few days, last night and today, it should hopefully help you to understand what's going on here. I'm going to wait till we get to the training man and talk about what the energy does in this one, because it's kind of complex. So stick with it. This is a study for this one. So just remember, meditation 6, a 6-pointed star, we breathe up to the head, up the ascending triangle, right? So really kind of focus on the ascending triangle. We're breathing up. I don't have the cursor for both sides, so it's the core central channel, but it's up the whole ascending triangle. Then down to the shoulders, still within the confines of that triangle. And actually what's happening there, notice how we have an ascending triangle, but when you inhale up it and then exhale down, you're actually exhaling down the ascending triangle to the shoulders. Then you inhale down the descending triangle to the hara, and that makes sense, right? We're pulling energy down a descending triangle. But then notice how the exhale goes up to the kidneys. That's up the descending triangle. I call this area the lower descending triangle, and this area the upper ascending triangle. So energy can go not only up and down through your systems, but an ascending triangle, which implies energy is going up, can also go down. And that's what happened when the meditation 7 revealed itself. The star reversed itself. So I don't know where the names came from. I think I just kind of came up with them, but maybe not. But the star reversed. I was like, oh, the star just reversed its movement, and it integrated the microcosmic orbit. So I understood the microcosmic orbit already from Taoist practices, Tai Chi, Qigong, Taoist tantric type practices. So I'll introduce you to that today. But again, this is a really significant meditation. Remember to do your checklist, to write down when you started today's meditation in lesson 1, and then to write down the date you feel you're proficient, and maybe you'll never write those down. I didn't do the page numbers here, so apologies. Excerpts from the Journals of Michael Devane. Please again, read that book, the Anahat Meditation System book, on the initiation into the star reversed. I'm going to actually read to you a few paragraphs because I didn't really look at them until I wrote the book. And I was like, oh my God, like, wow, like this stuff has been going on inside of me for a long time. And it's just always better. And the stuff I wrote then was amazing. Like when my inner world was, I'm not saying my poetry is amazing, but my inner experience, like the words you're going to hear me read in a moment, like, wow, like that was going on 20 years ago. So I don't know. I'm just trying to make whatever point is there. It's really not about me. Meditation 7, the star reverse. There's a longer explanation that we find in my writings, and then there's a shorter explanation, as you've seen. So I put both in the symbols. We'll talk about fruition, but I don't know what fruition is for this meditation. It's a don't know mind meditation. It just opens you up in ways that you'll never know where it's going. So fruit, yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay, and then I did post online. I don't need to do screen share at this point. The website hasn't changed much. But somebody emailed me about not seeing today's lesson. Please remember, I do the lessons. I put them together and compile them on Sundays. That's on a hot work day, or part of the day. So you won't see the meditations, the PDF, or the recordings until next Sunday for meditation 8. Oh, another reminder for those of you who are doing this live right now with me. Next Sunday, no class. We ended up canceling. We're going to do, and you don't need to know this, but I'm saying it for a reason. We were going to do California hypnotherapy training with one of our classes here in a large house where we could all socially distance during COVID times. But some students were getting on airplanes and hotels, and I'm like, no, we're not doing it. So I only said that because it's the encouragement for everybody who's being careful right now. COVID is not getting better at the moment in the United States because of a lot of the way people are being. So I hope I'm encouraging everybody to continue to stay home and wear masks and socially distance and do all the right things that scientists tell us to do. So yeah, no class next Sunday, even though I'm not going to be teaching that hypnotherapy group. We'll take the time off because I don't like to be indecisive about things. Okay, so no class next week, take a break, and then I'll see you in 2 weeks. And we'll probably continue with meditation 8 at that point. It's meditation 8 and 9 at that point. So that'd be lesson 7. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, if we're gonna start that then or not. But again, I don't post those recordings or PDFs until that day. All right, so you've got a 16-minute meditation now that will guide you on the Anahat Meditation System website. And it's only asking you to do 1 extra minute of practice. I think eventually it'll build you up to like a half hour or so guided. But you could easily do Anahat meditation for an hour. And if you can build up to that discipline by yourself, doing it with Tantra, with a partner, spend hours with the stuff. Yet again, sometimes it gets so pleasurable. You're like, okay, enough, enough. All right, but with the partner by yourself, it's amazing. I'm going to read to you what's here, even though it's not my style. is I just love these words, and it reminds me, this wasn't in 1804, that's fiction. These writings happened, well, the book was written, what, 2000? Yeah, I wrote the book in 2000, but they're my journal entries from the 90s. So again, this stuff has been going on with me for quite a while. It has been over 1 month since oh, remember again, this is fiction except for the inner experience. So the character Michael Devane is living in a monastery. He's being taught by a teacher named John. And that stuff is fiction, as far as I know. Somebody's going to someday try to say it's real, but so that's why I'm emphasizing it really is fiction. It has been over 1 month since my initiation into meditation number 6, the 6-pointed star. I never would have guessed that such a simple system could be so profound. Last month of practice has been amazing. I feel so incredibly balanced. I now know what it means to be fully grounded and also fully open to spirit. I'm aware more and more of an infinite sea of love pervading everything. So that's not fiction. The entire universe is beaming with the divine. Again, like those words aren't fiction. It's my experience embedded into fiction. This meditation is causing my body to shine with divine light. My insides are intoxicated and illuminated. Again, today's a lot of motivation to stay on the path. My entire being is tingling with sensuous energy. I sometimes have waves of bliss shoot through me for no apparent reason. I may be chopping wood. That's the fiction part. Although I did chop wood at the monastery. I've chopped wood before. I know, but that's just Zen talk. So I may be chopping wood or walking down a forest trail when all of a sudden my eyes roll up in my head and I almost pass out in ecstasy. That's not fiction. I have had to sit down at times in fear I would fall over and hurt myself. I sometimes fall to the ground laughing ecstatically with the awareness that everything is God. I laugh even harder when I think of how few know this immense secret. There is a maturity that occurs there from when that line was written. Eventually, it's actually, I don't want to say sad, but compassion. At that stage, you're like, oh my God, everything's God, everything is bliss, oh my God, everything is bliss. That goes on for a couple of years. And then you go through other stages of spiritual growth that are challenging for sure. We can talk about this someday. St. John of the Cross wrote about that stuff well in the Dark Night of the Soul poem. That's poetry, St. John's Dark Night of the Soul. But he explained what he meant about the poem. And there's actually referring to very advanced stages of spiritual growth. Most people, honestly, when they're depressed or down and going through a tough time, say, it's a dark night of the soul. It's not. It's dark night of the soul is a very advanced stage. So I can tell you from experience, the time that I wrote that line, I guess, I'd have to think about my own journal, my own history, but I can say somebody wrote that line and not been through the true dark night of the soul yet. Because it's when all of that bliss and love and intoxication of God is there, and then it goes away, and you are devastated. I guess it definitely goes in stages and phases of that. But anyway, that line would not imply that the collective oneness feels the suffering of all beings and is moved to compassionate service. Not that maybe I didn't tap into that at that time, but I would allude to the idea that you're not just rolling in the ground laughing in ecstasy when somebody's dying in the hospital of COVID. Like you can forget that stuff for a little while in your ecstasies, but eventually you are very aware that there's more going on than just bliss. There's a lot of suffering. Anyway, let's stay in the bliss side of things for now. The whole world is drunk on the bliss of God, and so few humans have any clue of this. Not only is everything God, but also so is each human being. If they only knew who they really were, they would be shocked. We are not egos, and we are not bodies, minds, or emotions. I hope you see the consistency in the teachings, because that makes me trust them as well. We are the divine, shining forth everywhere as this universe. We are, remember, no individual self. You are all that is. We are the creator and the creation. We are all that is and beyond all that is. I have not, this is the fiction part. Actually, me as the author had experienced this already, but in the fiction, it made sense to say it this way, in the story of Michael's unfoldment. He said, I have not yet experienced God beyond the beyond as John, but I'm also John in the book, of course, because, I got to speak for John. So it says, I have not yet experienced God beyond the beyond as John has described it, but I know he is speaking the truth. I know it with every cell in my body, with every fiber in my being. I may not have experienced the source directly yet, but I feel it everywhere. So like I said, there's the immanent presence of God in all that is. And then there's the transcendent experience of God and the transcendent reality of God. So what Michael in the book is talking about, he hasn't experienced yet in his journey, God beyond the beyond, the return to the source beyond all manifestation. And that's out of the body. Again, you can't have that experience in a body. But then he is feeling it immanent within all of creation. And he's going to talk about the experience of an angelic visit and a cosmic consciousness experience, which again is a real experience of mine, which we can read about here. So he says, I may not have experienced the source directly yet, but I feel it everywhere. I know it to be my own consciousness. I am drunk on it. My body sings it. My heart pulses in it. I've experienced myself as a whole universe on that blessed occasion with the angel Soraya. Commenting on that briefly, because I read this today, I'm like, oh yeah. You forget this stuff. Even the most glorious mystical experiences become past tense and become memories. It integrates in a way where you're not lacking it and trying to find it again. But yeah, I'll tell you the story briefly. I was in meditation at Anaheim Meditation Center in Massachusetts, where I first opened it. Eventually I expanded to 2 stories. We were in the upstairs and we took over the downstairs. Upstairs was my hypnotherapy office amongst the meditation rooms there. And I was sitting in the recliner, just relaxing or whatever. I took a little nap. My third eye opened. I can see the whole room with my physical eyes closed. And this beautiful angelic being, as if comes through the wall. I don't know how she appeared, but she was right there. It was a female presence, red hair, beautiful, totally angelic. And, and again, I'm not using my physical eyes to see her. I'm not asleep. It's not drug-induced. It's not a dream. It's just not open. And there's this angelic being who appears in the room. She comes over to me, touches my forehead, third eye, and I literally flip out of my body, full out of body experience, like a somersault. But because the wall is right behind me, I flipped out of the wall, out of the building, and I'm floating above the ground. And I never saw her again after that. And when I mentioned that in the journals in this book here, I don't know where the name Soraya came from. I came up with it when I wrote the book. I honestly don't know if that's her name. I don't know who she is. And that might speak to some of you. You have mystical experiences and you'll never understand them, at least maybe not in this lifetime. Maybe someday I'll meet that being again. I would like to think so. And some of these experiences, you need to have Meher Baba, we've talked about. You need not only Meher Baba, but his teachings explain you need a perfected master, somebody who's extremely advanced in these teachings and practices, to sometimes grant you these experiences. And I've studied with great gurus, and I've had, I hesitate on the word because it's a whole nother discussion. There's something that's relevant here, I guess I'll mention. It's called Shaktipat. Shakti, you've heard of, is the divine energy, like Kundalini energy. Pat is like to touch, to awaken. So Shaktipat is when a great saint, sage, but I don't call myself saint or sage, but I can only say I've done this to other people. So let's just say an advanced, I'll call myself an advanced practitioner and a teacher. That's as far as I like to go in those labels. So an advanced practitioner and teacher does know how to awaken your Kundalini, does know how to give you Shaktipat. So I've had that done to me from different masters. And I've also experienced it just happening in my own internally. But this experience, and not only this one, is an experience of angelic beings or ascended masters who come to you in meditation or who you'll meet out of your body. When I teach you how to body travel and you get good at it and you're flying in the astral plane and you're experiencing ascended masters and cosmic conscious experiences, you're like, oh, life, there's a lot more to who I am than I ever could have imagined. So anyway, I hope that's helpful again, today's a lot of motivation about opening your mind to angelic visits. And when we get to meditation, I always forget the number. It's not, I think it's meditation 10, but I could be wrong about that number. It's called Wings. I can't wait to explain that one to you. When your heart opens in that and your halo appears and the wings branch out, you're like, oh, damn, I didn't know. It's not only me, to know that you have wings is, and not just my paragliding wings, to know you have angelic wings as part of your anatomy is really amazing. So this being the angel Soraya, again, this is, I don't know where that name came from. That's a real experience. And it says, and we'll never forget that cosmic vision. That's explained in the book. Somebody wrote in the chat pod. So let's see what you may have said. Someone said, study Shaktipat. I think you spelled it wrong there, but study Shaktipat with an Italian guru who has a practice in India. Yeah, so, well, you said path. The word would be path. There might be, maybe, I'm sure there's overlap. But anyway, yes, the teachings are out there. Let's just talk about it briefly, because you guys are start running to ashrams trying to find a guru to give, or to give you Shaktipat. I don't recommend it, actually. You have to really study with, say, there are people who give Shaktipat who eventually learn, oh, that's not the way to do it. So advanced yogis, gurus, but again, advanced practitioners cultivate a lot of chi. And it's contained, and you wouldn't know they have it inside of them. They might just look like anybody else. But when they want to move that chi, they can do that, and they can send that into your system and start your kundalini. And that's exciting, right? A lot of people want that. You're better off training with somebody who knows how to do it but doesn't do it. You will unfold. So I'm not going to say names, because there are certain teachers I don't talk about their names that I've studied with for various reasons. All good, but mostly out of respect. So one of my teachers said that he knew somebody, who I know, who is doing a lot of Shaktipat and just, shocking the students. And for 4 days, they're just intoxicated on light and they can't function. They're rolling the floor on light. And he said, Guru realized it's better to not do that. That people grow a lot faster when I don't. And the teacher who was sharing that story was totally right. And I would say, if I can judge, which is not the way to be, that teacher, at least at the time, was more advanced than the one who was throwing around his Shakti like that. So it's not that there aren't saints and beings who can't awaken your Shakti and cause Shaktipat. I am causing Shaktipat for you through these classes, through a mature unfolding of the divine energy within you, not awakening Kundalini before you're ready. This system and these words and these teachings will awaken your Kundalini when it's time and you're ready to have somebody, I don't know who this guru is that one of our students mentioned. So I'm not critiquing that person, but when somebody kind of knows what they're doing, but maybe hasn't had years of experience with communities, and they just start throwing around their Shakti, opening you up. The guru model with Shaktipat doesn't always work all that well for Westerners. Again, the Anahat system, I think you can tell by now, is very refined and advanced, and I don't want to say well thought out because I didn't think it out, but it knows what it's doing, and I encourage you guys to trust that in case you're thinking, you got to go find a guru to awaken your Kundalini. Just keep doing the system, and I do believe you're in good hands. Someone said, yay, can't wait to astral travel via your system. I'm having the toughest time moving from theta to delta without passing out completely. All right, yeah, we'll get to that in the future. It's very hard to stay conscious without falling asleep. You achieve a state that's called body asleep, mind awake. It's very hard. Out-of-body experience is very hard to achieve. And no matter how hard you try, there are stages of your life where it's just not going to happen. And times when you don't want it to be happening. When Buddha was asked about that, he's like, no, don't bother. The Buddha's like, you don't need to do that. Yet I'm aware of that he said that, and I'm still teaching it with 2 decades or more of contemplating, should I still be teaching that? And the answer is yes. You definitely want to have the experiences that out-of-body travel brings about. So we'll do at least one whole class on it, but I don't know when we'll stop doing this stuff, because I want to share with you Tai Chi, Yoga, Qigong, and even exercise, like how you exercise when you're an advanced yogi. You don't want to build up huge muscle mass. It blocks all the Kundalini flow. Okay, so thank you. I remember the chat pod will always, you're welcome to, but just always know I'll spend time on it if you type something. Okay, where did we leave off? Michael, in the Journals of Michael Devane, which is me, and then John again, of course, the teacher is me, said, I may not have, although I don't resonate with the name John, I may not have experienced the source directly yet, but I feel it everywhere. I know it to be my own consciousness. I am drunk on it. My body sings it. My heart pulses in it. I've experienced myself as the whole universe on that blessed occasion with the angel Soraya, and will never forget that cosmic vision. Again, you can read about that experience in some other books. We won't talk about it now. All beings are, but someday we should talk about the cosmic vision. It's written in the Bhagavad Gita. Paramahansa Yogananda wrote about it in Autobiography of a Yogi. It's pretty rare in religious literature. And I had to go to India. Honestly, when I was in India, I was studying with masters there, and I was like, okay, this is what happened. I know about it in 2 places in literature. What is it? And they explained to me. Not everybody's had it, but they studied enough to know what it is in the context of stages of spiritual growth. So I would like to talk to you about that someday, but today's not that day. All beings are one love, one light. It is so comical that I can barely contain it. Again, tragic on one level, comical on another. Like Dante's The Divine Comedy. I am intoxicated on this madness. That's what meditation 7 is. I don't think of the number, so I really have to stop and be sure I'm saying the right number here. Today's meditation 7, the star reversed. It's madness. You look at the words in the poem that's coming up. I'm losing my mind, drunk on my beloved God. I wrote a poem on this, and I'm sharing it here with John's permission, which of course is me. Fire of my heart. Fire of my heart, mother, my mother, father, mother, God. But yeah, like embracing all of God. Father, mother. Fire of my heart, mother, my soul. Glorious is the moment you illuminate my house, which is the meditation, the body, the being. Burn me, crisp me, kill me, shatter this vessel into dust and sand. At the fierce churning of thy hand, smash this being until it is no more. From ash turn me to wood, from wood alight me to fire. On fire blaze, watch out, a lion roams these streets with eyes burning as the beloved. I haven't read that in so long. I was like, holy, that was like written over 20 years ago. And I just knew there was something coming through me that's in everybody. And, you see like the passion in these words. Again, like part of why today's class is about that. It's not to talk about me. It's just to increase the motivation in you to embrace the beloved, to let God inside of you, and to stop controlling. That's why when I translate the word yam, which means in the best English translation is usually the word control. But you don't control the divine energy. It invades you, and it makes love to you, and it intoxicates you, and it reveals to you. It's a real presence. Like, I don't care if I'm insane, but this whole idea is crazy wisdom. Like most human beings, according to A Course in Miracles, are insane. Let me say this about A Course in Miracles. I knew this would come up today. Get a cough drop in there. If you do A Course in Miracles lessons, I got a mump here. If you do A Course in Miracles lessons, 365, and I recommend them, by the way. It's totally different than the Ahat system, but if you started that next year, I always recommend starting January 1st. Course in Miracles workbook lessons. Anyway, but that's a little plug for that. And, for your own sake, for sure. If you've never done them, I really, trust me, spend a year and do the workbook lessons. Maybe this year you start, really get Anahat down, because we're in the middle of the year now. And then by 2021, keep doing Anahat and do Course in Miracles lessons. My point is, there's 2 parts of the lessons. Part 1 loosens up and dismantles your ego. Part 2 unfolds you to the glory of who you really are. And you have to be broken down first before you can be lifted up. That's why Dark Night of the Soul has to happen. You have to go through dark nights to break down your ego. And any good teacher knows how to do that, but to do it really well. I do it with my clients. I do it with any student, anybody. I'm asking anybody get a chance. And it's a sacred moment when it happens. I did it the other night with somebody. It's not like I only talk to you guys. So I got friends and people I meet. Not a whole lot of physical contact these days, but I'm still social, meeting people online and whatnot, and whatever. Just, I know people. And somebody just the other day, it got to the point where I said, okay, you ready? I'm like, wow, okay, this person's ready. I said, who are you? And then I get all the silliness. Oh, my name is whatever. No, that's not who you are. That's your name. We play this game of, I said, where are you? And then eventually, oh, shit, I don't know where I am. Who are you? I don't know who I am. You get them to total don't know mind. Why are you? I don't know. Why do I even exist? And then where are you? When are you? When are you? Like today's date is just a human invention, right? So when are you? Where are you? Why are you? You need to have don't know mind about that. And I got two people outside of regular class recently to that place, and I do with my clients and anybody. I become everybody's teacher. I have friends, but man, like everybody's like, like, teach me. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm a teacher, and I'll be your therapist. Whatever. Let's just keep healing you. So uh, the whole idea here is break you down before we build you up to who you really are. So Course in Miracles does that very wisely. The Anaheim Meditation System does that very wisely. The beginning, everything we've learned so far establishes the basic patterns, and we kind of control the energy in the patterns. Today, you're going to feel what it's like, when you're ready for that, but you'll start practicing. But once you get what the meditation is doing, when it loosens the flow of the energy, it starts doing things to your psyche, to your being, to your chakras, to your energy body. And trust me, it's worth it. You might be scared at times, honestly. They're going insane, or it's like, this isn't who I thought I was. Am I going to be okay? What's the outcome going to be? Study the life of every saint and sage is part of why I'm talking to you about my personal story, so that you can trust. Like, oh my God, like I thought I was this, but I'm not that. Like you think you're married and you have this life, and then it's not that God takes away the external stuff. It's just your insides change, and the outside always reflects the inside. So your life will change. And to me, I like to say it's worth the price of admission. But this really is a crucial stage in the training to say, I don't want to be overly dramatic, because I kind of can hear what I'm saying, of course. This is another major stage in the process of best not to begin. Once begun, better finish. All right, we have so much more to cover than I thought. I really thought this would be a 2-hour class as well. This one paragraph, this one journal entry, and that's all I'll read, concludes on, I cannot begin to describe the fury. Right? We're not just talking like, oh, that was peaceful. Like, look at the words that I'm, again, this is me, not some fictitious character in a book. I cannot begin to describe the fury that is screaming within me. I am crazy on God. My heart and mind are wild with passion. I'm a lover of God, and I'm infatuated. Glory be to the beloved. Those words don't come from just anybody writing a book of fiction, right? Those words come from illuminated inner direct experience. I'm not saying that for egoic reasons. I just need you guys to grasp where this is going. All right, then you can read, and please do. October 5th is my sister's birthday. That's why the date is there. And October 4th, because she's really old. So again, that's fiction. But some of the dates are relevant to major journal entries of mine, or things like that, my sister's birthday. So please read this one on your own, because it says, I was initiated into meditation number 7, the star reverse. So these are actually the words, John's words, which were totally me, where he's like, oh, my beloved Michael, right? That's just me explaining the meditation system, but that's what happened in the book. I'm going to do that for you now, because the energy transmission of an initiation is better done with real life than reading from the past. But I definitely am glad you got to see some of those earlier journal entries, because some of you may not have read that in my books yet. Here's the symbol for the star reverse. It is the star, yet the central line here is what matters. But the star, like I said, energy can move in it in different directions. So just hold that thought. There's other ways to explain this, but this is a symbol for today's lesson. I don't believe I have an image of just a line going up the center here of this picture on the left. So I just used the pictures from last lesson, but it's this glyph. Honestly, I didn't take the time to do it. I could have done it. I just have to put this glyph over the body. So please understand, I'm going to reemphasize the point. There's a line down the middle, the core central channel, as well as the back central channel and the front central channel. And I'll show you a picture of that in a moment. Actually, let's jump to those. So the picture on the right, again, the energy moves in these patterns. But remember, you also have this larger aspect of the star. And let's go up to here. So you've got, let's look at the descending triangle, the larger descending triangle here. you have that one, but you also have this inner one, and you also have another inner one. Remember, it's a fractal. There's stars within stars, triangles within triangles. When you breathe into a triangle, it's not only just this one, it's this huge, I took a little mini power nap this afternoon. I turned on a nice recording from Abraham Hicks, some of you may know. It was a meditation that Abraham was guiding about the vortex. And it was like, now you're entering the doorway of your vortex. I'm like, yeah, right on, descending triangle. The vortex, by the way, it was very much a descending triangle. That's what Abraham is talking about in the Abraham Hicks material. At least I strongly believe that, and I think experienced that. So please remember, the lines are sometimes very relevant when we're pulling energy down, very confined, but confined is actually more yang energetic. And I'm going to talk to you today more about yin yang Taoist philosophy. So confining things, holding them, yam, that's that Sanskrit word, controlling, refining, regulating, that's important. But also letting go, opening up, releasing control, surrendering, receiving, having your mind blown, that's also important. Okay, so moving back down. Yeah, all right, so before I read the text, this image represents the microcosmic orbit. This is the perineum. I don't ever know how to say that properly. P-E-R-I-N-E-U-M, perineum. It's between the scrotum and the anus, or the vagina and the anus, or it's called your taint, right? Taint your vagina, taint your anus. That's your taint. So there's your taint. It's governing vessel 1, or Du 1, which is the back central channel here. And then there's Ren 1, which is also there. I actually, not because of this, but I always knew someday in acupuncture school, we were going to start doing acupuncture needles in that point. I'm like, that's good. You have to like lift the scrotum and put a needle in there. Like, that's going to be weird doing that on my classmates who are my friends. Like, they're like, wow, that's going to be weird. I actually happened to drop out of school before we got to, as most of you know, I didn't complete my Chinese medical school training. So I never actually had to put needles or have needles put into that point. But there are actually acupoints right there in your taints, the perineum. So Ren 1, governing 1, start there. The meridian actually starts there, but it goes up the back in the Du meridian, and up the front in the Ren meridian. Yet in the microcosmic orbit, it goes up the back, over the top, down to the upper lip, and then it goes up the front here. So here you see the imagery for Anahat. You have the Hara, the lower circle, the heart, the middle circle. Here you're talking about tailbone, sacrum, and some of your lumbar vertebrae, but largely sacral, right? We got the sacral pump. That's what's going on down here. We have the heart. You know all about that, but that's your thoracic vertebrae. Then you have your cervical vertebrae. And then up at the head, cranium, you have the whole region of the head, right? So we inhale up the back, exhale down the front. I'm going to do some screen share with you now on the internet. Fancy World Wide Web to show you guys some stuff. All right, so violating copyright left and right here. Just showing you pictures on Google. All right, so my first search was just Ren and Du meridians. You can Google that all on your own. Here's an interesting one. I know my camera image in the recording is covering that, so at least you guys are here live. I moved the camera. So what happens if you clear the Ren meridian? You don't have blocks there. It heals anxiety, asthma, digestive issues, menstruation issues, fertility, conception, not being able to conceive, and eventually, pregnancy. That's just a taste of the idea that energy blocks can create major health problems. And the ancient Taoists, Chinese and Japanese medical practitioners, they figured out what issues relate to what meridians. You open the meridian, you heal the issue. And there's tremendous truth to that, regardless of how much of that is proven yet or not. Here's a nice feminine one for you, a balance of yin and yang. Ren meridian is the front. So it's going from the perineum up to the lower lip, And then the back goes from the perineum up to the top, but over the crown to the upper lip. So here, main functions of the Ren meridian. This is super basic. You can study this stuff for years. Regulates the female reproductive system, treats disorders of the abdomen, chest, throat, and face, helps urinary issues. The whole idea of the next 3 meditations, this one, and then meditation 7 and 8, which is the upper body meridians of the arms, which we could see here. You have, and we'll cover these next week, you have more in 2 weeks, but next class, you have meridians in your arms and meridians of your legs and in the whole torso. So while you're doing Anahata meditation, you're moving energy through all the meridians of the torso. But in the next class, we'll start moving energy through the arms and legs. This meditation is all about this core, not even the core central channel, the front central channel and the back central channel. Even though the meridian runs up in both of them, in the microcosmic orbit, it goes up and down. So I want to show you that. I think that's it on this page. Here's the microcosmic orbit. Search, and this is a great picture to help you to understand Tantra. So if you have a partner, you do all the Anahata. So here's the man usually on the bottom, and there's the woman. And again, I'm not saying can't be woman, woman, or man, man. Your body really matters very little to what's going on internally. Because they both have the same insides. Everybody has these geometries and these energies and chakras. You have 7 chakras. Doesn't matter what your body is, what sex or gender. So here they have the microcosmic orbit, and everything's blending. You can do Anahata meditation with another person this way, and it's very beautiful. All right, so here's a good image of that. So they're linking their chakras. And I'm not going to talk much about it now, but there is a picture that's there. Where is it? Let's find it through there. I just saw this today for the first time. I've been trying to show you guys a picture. I'll put this back in the top. So that's what the camera, that's what the recording will look like. On the recording, nobody noticed anything. All right. So here's Shiva, king of the yogis, like the ultimate example of a yogi. So what do we see about this being? So this is divine androgyny. The left is feminine, you see the breast. The right is masculine. The left is lunar, the right is solar. Here, Shiva is holding the trident. It's like the Greek healing staff, the caduceus of Hermes. It's the same teaching, really. He has the 3 points of the trident representing the core central channel, and then these snake-like movements called Ida and Pingala Nadi, masculine, feminine energy, yin and yang. Notice the Sri Yantra pattern at the crown. This is that 52-degree pyramid on the Giza Plateau. Third eye, right, all the chakras. But I love the picture because it's divine androgyny. Remember, when we're descending, we're fully grounded, rooted to the earth. We're pulling Shakti, Kundalini, earth energy. Well, my hesitation is it's earth, but Kundalini, right? It's this, all this light is Kundalini. So it's coming down, and then Shiva is pulling it up the spine to the crown. There's a really cool story in, I guess, Hinduism. Parvati, who's one of the wives of Shiva, as you study the mythology. So Shiva is trying to hook up, Parvati is trying to hook up with Shiva, and he's up in the mountains meditating, and she climbs up the mountain to be with her lover, and she says, like, hey, I want to be with you, and he's like, yeah, no. And she said, how are you so radiant? Like, look at you, like you're just like, and Shiva explained 2 secrets, and I'll share them with you now. You know one of them already. I don't think I talked about the second one yet. The first one is semen retention, or not ejaculating, for men and women, controlling the orgasm, not wasting sexual energy. It's one of the biggest components of Taoist and Tantric practices. Shiva is clearly doing it. The hand going up here, one hand is down, so actually it's his right hand that's down. So he's embracing, and I do this all the time naturally in Tai Chi. It wasn't taught to me, it's just how the hands go. You cut and keep the energy in, and you shoot it up the spine, and that's what his hands are doing. Whoever made this picture clearly knows what's going on internally. And then you'll see here, it's something to meditate on. I don't know why they put the six-pointed star at the hara, but they did. And yeah, interesting anyway. So, but you know, the six-pointed star is at the heart for us for sure. So here he's locking the energy and pulling it up his spine, but it's not just him, it's him, her. Shiva is Shiva Shakti, is masculine, feminine, is yin yang, integrated in one being. Then you can share that with another being or with all beings, you know, in appropriate ways. Okay, so one secret is he's maintaining his, excuse me, get a drink. So Shiva is not ejaculating. The second teaching, I believe in Sanskrit, is called Amaroli. Shiva is drinking his urine. I know it sounds disgusting. It was very hard when I first started the practice. Honestly, I still do it on and off to this day. And what happens when you're not ejaculating and you're recirculating? So urine is, I can't believe I'm teaching this right now. I didn't expect to. But these are the two major secrets of what Parvati said to Shiva. How are you so illuminated? Like you're just glowing. Like, well, you're so healthy. How does that happen? You don't ejaculate and you drink your urine. So I'm going to talk to you about it because it's not always safe. You have to know what you're doing. You should probably research it because I didn't intend to teach this, but I mentioned it and I don't want you to make mistakes. If you eat meat, you probably shouldn't do it. You should be on a vegetarian diet if you're going to be recirculating. You don't want all the non-organic hormones, pesticides, fungicides, the fear of those animals. You don't want that circulating back in your system. So don't drink your urine if you're a meat eater. It's not a judgment. It's just, you know, kind of a fact as far as this stuff. And then if you're on medications, you don't want to be recirculating the medication back in your system. So probably not a good idea if you're on medication, especially, you know, intense stuff. Your urine is just filtered blood. It's not actually as disgusting. In fact, the more you get really pure and drink a lot of water, let me take another drink. Your body and your feces and your urine shouldn't be so disgusting. Just people are really messed up. If you eat super pure, you're just very pure, right? So your urine really won't be that. It won't smell bad. It won't taste bad. Urine is filtered blood, so all of the nutrients you didn't get the first time around, you're just recirculating it back in. It's an ancient yogic secret, and it's really not that bad, especially if you do it long enough, your system gets super healthy from it. So if you're going to do it, you just do only the first morning urine. You don't have to do it all through the day. There's books on it, and you can do urine enemas and eye wash and ear wash. It's totally safe. It's great for your skin. You can use it on your scalp. You know, it's if you have skin issues. Go look at a lot of moisturizers. One of the key ingredients is urea. But you don't want to know where that urea comes from because it's not human. So anyway, it's really good for the skin. You use it if you're going to drink it, if you're going to do that. Again, I think you should research it first. You drink your first morning urine only unless you're really fanatical about it. But that's all I do whenever I do it. I don't do it every day. But if I feel inspired, you know, like if you're feeling like you're tired or ill health is creeping in, then yeah, you can drink your morning urine. It's very, so I'm going to tell you what to do with the morning urine. But the idea of homeopathy is, well, it's just too much to explain. If you understand homeopathy, I can teach what that is now. The idea is your urine is homeopathic as well, and it's not dose sensitive. You don't need to drink gallons of it for benefit. It's not just about the filtered blood with the nutrients coming back into your system. It's, you know, including like hormones and all, you're recirculating a lot of valuable stuff when you do that. Homeopathic, the idea there is that your body is creating what it needs to help heal itself. And it's putting like homeopathic doses in your urine. It's too hard to explain that right now, but that is one of the theories. When you do it in the morning, you don't drink the first part of your stream because there is supposedly some toxin there, and you don't drink the last part of the stream. So you drink like the middle stream, and it don't have to be that much. And don't do it if you're disgusted with it and whatever, and I don't care if you judge me about it anymore. I was camping with a friend once, and somehow I joked about that. He's like, "No way!" And I actually, went in the bushes. I got some. I didn't show him, I'd be in front of him, but I put it in a cup. He's like, "No, you're not serious." I'm like, "It's really no big deal anymore." So remember, I just said to you when we started today, you gotta let go of what you think you know and understand. You're learning ancient yogic secrets. If you judge them, if you think it's yucky, when Buddha was meditating in the woods, somebody walked. He was sitting like Shiva here, and somebody walked by and said, "Oh, this is disgusting." The guy was complaining. I think I told you the story. And he goes, "Disgusting, repulsive." Buddha said, "There's nothing disgusting. There's nothing repulsive." So Shiva, for that fire, that what's happening in that picture, for him to have, like you heard the words in my poetry, fury, wild, crazy, passionate. Shiva's not a dry yogi. The great Saint Ramakrishna, he would meditate on the Divine Mother, that's who he's largely devoted to, and he would say, "Oh, Mother, please don't make me a dry yogi." That's why today's class is going longer than I expected, because I just thought I was going to teach you this one simple energy flow. But it's not just the geometry and the how you do the breath. The breath is easy to grasp after a little while. This is what will start to happen to your insides. Right? Again, I saw the chat pod. I'm going to hold it for a sec though, because we're on a roll here. Okay, so here's Shiva. Prakriti goes up to him. What is your secret? Those are two of his secrets. You see the sacred geometry there. You see the trident. You see the hands forming that mudra. I can't explain everything, the imagery, even though I think I get a pretty good sense of it. But I really encourage you to open to what all of this stuff is really about. It's not just simple geometry or basic meditation. There's that. And then I wanted to spend a moment. I'm going to put in Tai Chi. This is the Tai Chi. People call it the yin yang symbol. It's actually pronounced yang. It's a yin yang symbol, but really the Tai Chi is what it's called. It's called the great ultimate. The circle, when you look at any one of these, the circle represents spirits, the one, and then the one becomes the two, the yin and the yang. This is why Tantra or Taoist practice, where you're working with a partner, can make this extremely wonderful, because you're getting the male-female energy in both people blending into each other. You want to understand this a little bit to understand today. The black is yang, the white is yin. So the black, the dark, is feminine. The white is yang or masculine. Notice how when extremes always lead to their opposite. So yang becomes yin, yin becomes yang. So you could say the female becomes the male becomes the female. Yet notice how there are these 2 points here. You have white in the black, black in the white. Yin contains yang, yang contains yin, or I said that wrong with the cursor was, but right here's yang, the black, yin is the black, and yang is contained in it. Here's the masculine, the white, and the black, the feminine, is contained within it. So you can't ever have yin without yang and yang without yin. They depend upon each other. It's called dependent co-origination in Buddhism, dependent co-arising. They depend upon each other and they transform into each other and they contain each other, and extremes lead to their opposite, and they move. The picture is only a picture because it's not a video. If I play a video, you would see, it moving. It is constant movement. So Tai Chi is all about that. And these spheres I keep talking about in my body, I can get on the cushion soon and show you, like, how does this stuff move? Like, it's so beautiful. I'm so glad I started Tai Chi when I was about 20 years old, 22. So I've been doing Tai Chi and Qigong for like 25 years or something now. That I knew when I started this, I'm like, that's going to be a good investment. And I'm telling all my friends and family, you've got to do this. Like, oh, we're not into that. I'm like, what, are you crazy? How could you not be into something that promotes so much health and longevity? So we look at a little bit of Tantra and Hindu stuff today with Shiva or Shiv. And now we're looking at a bit of Taoist practice with Tai Chi or the Tai Chi symbol. Okay. That's what I wanted to show you to get those ideas in your head. And as you know, there's homework during the week. So I really encourage you to, kind of required, read the PDF document for this week, listen to the audio recordings, and I would encourage you to study the stuff I've been mentioning, whatever turns you on. pun intended. All right, somebody said, women are capable of experiencing a plethora of orgasms that can seem never ending at times following meditation, especially following meditation 6. Awesome. How does sexual energy wasting differ in respects to the female body? I have a couple of answers. One is my humble answer is I've gotten to experiment with the male body for my whole life, especially with spirituality, my whole adult life. So I know a lot more about it. And I definitely know that containing the sexual energy gives me so much energy and it's amazing. And then ejaculating depletes that. It'll rebuild, but when you, so that answer is true for men and women. The more you don't let yourself have that kind of orgasm, like when you say, excuse this term, but when you say, like, somebody came, when you come, you waste energy. So you can have, men and women can both have multiple, so the answer is the same. I can tell you more about a male body, of course. The answer is the same, but some of the practices are different to contain the energy, because the male lingam, the male penis, there's obviously different things you would do with that than you would with the yoni or the vagina. But again, same teachings. So when you lock the energy, you seal it, you don't come. Now there's orgasm, but then there's, so let's stop using that CUM word, which is not the most professional, ejaculate, right? So when you don't ejaculate and you maintain that, and you keep that in, you get to the point where you're right there, it's feeling really good, but you don't. So I can't really explain all that now, it's too much. But if you guys, and we'll get into it eventually, I'm sure, if you study Tantra, you learn about pushing that orgasm right to the peak. It's like, everything's feeling so good, oh my God, it feels so good. But then you don't release that. There are techniques you do at the peak of that eventually I'll explain, but we don't have time for it today. And well, how can I say it simply? At the very peak, you're quite often tensing the body. You're pulling the locks, the Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha lock. And you pull the cranial and sacral pump. You pull the energy through your whole body, and then you, so I'm trying not to be too graphic about this stuff. You let all that energy just move through your whole body. So I can have multiple full body orgasms, as much as I want. So I can go for hours, even kind of days. So that's what I said. For me, it's not unexcited sexual energy or excited sexual energy, it's just activated. It's just there all the time. And when you do meditation 7, it's going to get more and more delicious. And so there's just a lot to learn. You got to read books, like multiple books, like hundreds of pages studying Tantra and the Taoist teachings on this to really grasp what's happening. That's a good question. For clarity, I meant multiple orgasms without the female alternative to ejaculation. Yeah, so same thing. Same for a guy, same for a woman. You just, you're female, so, you can tell in the female body, you can do it. It's just that women, because you can have multiple orgasms, are more conditioned that you can. For a guy, you can too. But most guys have no idea about that, and they have no idea about how much pleasure they are missing and how much pleasure they can give their partner. Because a man who's trained in Tantra and Taoist teachings can go for hours and hours and hours. And it's like always there. It's not depleted at any moment. You can be aroused and ready to go. So men can have that, women can have that. And it's really a benefit to your health. It's not that you never ejaculate with these teachings, because sometimes just the system needs to, and it's fine. And people like that in sex, so that's fine. But the more you can restrict it without driving yourself crazy, and you got to be careful with that. Priests end up molesting children. People get really messed up when they don't understand the teachings and just try not to ejaculate. Celibate to me is like, I'm celibate, but it doesn't mean I'm not sexual. I hope that's really obvious now. To me, a celibate monk, it's not a sacrifice. I love my inner being. And it's not asexual. When I say divine androgyny, it's not bisexual, it's not homosexual, it's not heterosexual, it's not any of those labels at all. It's divine androgyny and celibacy and brahmachari is like, it's just all these energy glyphs and all these chakras and all this deliciousness in your own being. And yes, both men and women can have it. There's really not much difference. In the Anahat system, there's no difference. The difference would be in tantric practices. our Taoist practices. If you study Mantak Chia's work, I've read the book, a lot of the stuff, but I didn't read the books for women. So his book, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy, has influenced me a lot. But there's a book, I believe, called Cultivating Female Sexual Energy. Those practices would be different for the male and female body, but the energetic ideas are pretty much exactly the same. All right, thank you. Great. Okay, right on. Back to the training manual. What we'll do today, just so you know, we'll go 15 more minutes. We'll take a 5-minute break. I'm just going to pee or drink some water, whatever. And then we'll come back and it'll probably be another hour or so. So it's probably going to be 3 hours again. What can I say? Where did our training manual go? Okay, let's learn the meditation here. And it's better when the camera image bigger. All right, so I'm going to read. Inhale up the back. You're better off looking at these images, right? You got to kind of see both. Let me make this smaller. Okay, so do your best to visualize both. Inhale up the back central channel from the sexual organs to the third eye. So if you look at the bottom right here, there's the sexual energy at the base. So the lingam or the yoni, but not just the lingam, it's actually the penis and the testes and the entire region of the yoni, including the clitoris, where you feel sexual pleasure. You inhale and you pull it up the back central channel, and it goes pretty much to the crown, but it says to the third eye. And what's implied there is it goes up the back and over the front to the third eye. And even you could say to the upper lip, but it's big, so it circulates the whole area. So don't be caught up on crown or occipital lobe or forehead or upper lip. Yes, right? Front of the brain, back of the brain, yes. Left or right, yes. Just fill the whole area with the sexual energy. And you already know how to do that for meditation 5, circulation. So that first breath in this meditation is meditation 5, circulation. Then, here's where it starts. That's pleasurable, because every time you do it, you're pulling the sexual energy up. But this keeps getting better. Next, exhale down the ascending triangle from the third eye down to the kidneys, or the level of the kidneys, not only the kidneys. So we inhale up the back central channel, but then we exhale down the ascending triangle, because you think the ascending triangle only goes up, but energy pours out of it. That outpouring of light, macrocosmically speaking, is God creating the universe. Microcosmically speaking, you could say it's God creating you. It's this outpouring of your spirit, your soul, your mind, your heart, your body. Right? So this outpouring, anybody who says that God isn't sexual or the universe isn't sexual just doesn't get it. The Big Bang is this cosmic explosion saying, this is my own personal mystical experience I may have told you about, my merging into God beyond the beyond. And these cosmic conscious experiences, like those kind of experiences, from my experience, but the teachings say, only happen with devotional love. You have to be a lover of God, and the love is what brings you to God. And then as you're entering into God, it's just, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then when God creates the universe, God's like, I'm going to make love to myself. And the one becomes the two. So it could have yin and yang, male, female. So we could have this dance together. Right? It's the whole thing is based on union. When we talk about samadhi, samadhi means oneness, but it could be translated as union, to yog, to unite. Right? So to unite has a very strong sexual themes. You can't avoid that. Okay, so inhale the spirit, exhale down. It's so good, I can already talk about it. Exhale down the ascending triangle. It is like a misting of spiritual love, intoxicating your whole body. And that energy is health-giving. It's life-giving. It is life itself. It fills your heart in the way down. It opens all your meridians, all the yogic. There are 70,000 or 72,000 yogic nadis, yogic meridians. You don't have to study all those. Who would bother? But if you do this one breath, the other breath in this meditation, it purifies the whole system. So again, the health benefits from a Chinese medical perspective are off the charts, and the nadis from a yogic perspective. Okay, so that's the second breath. Again, not just to the kidneys, just that level. So you're infusing all the internal organs. Then you inhale, next the third breath, inhale down the front central channel from the third eye region, but implying, from spirit down to the sexual organs. So you inhale, and all of that amazing energy just got brought right in to meditation number 4, essentially, right into the sexual energy. You just pack the sexual organs with all of that. And then as you exhale, this is the best one, it explodes back up. So the fourth breath is up the ascending triangle. The ascending triangle usually goes down, but then this one goes up. So all of that sexual energy gets released internally as bliss, not just up your spine, but through your whole body. And then it keeps circulating. So once it's activated and really sexual, you have to stop at some point. You're like, okay, enough, that's really good. Or honestly, and this is only meditation 7. Then it goes on to 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 is wings, and then 11 and 12. I'm just so blown away by it again, because if I invented it, I would be more humble, but I didn't invent it, and so I'm just blown away by it. Okay, let's keep going in the teaching. So it says, so we'll repeat this stuff, I'll teach it well. Focus on a more expansive motion than meditation number 6, and incorporate the sexual energy when the breath is at the bottom of the star. So all the meditations before, relatively rigid and confined. That's yang, that's important. You never want to say, oh, I'm more into the dance and the movements because I'm more yin. You got to be both here. Let's, again, don't know mine. Don't ever say, I'm not into that. Right? Yeah, there's straight lines and curved lines. There's masculine, there's feminine. So we have to embrace all of it. But I know, people think they're more one or the other. Divine androgyny, that picture of Shiva you just saw, Shiva is not one or the other. That's not an accomplished yogi. Shiva is the most accomplished yogi, and there's the complete embracing of masculine and feminine, yin and yang, straight lines and curved lines. Okay, so, and spirit and sex and love. Right, so remember, spirit, pleasure, love. Those are the 3 major centers. So here it is, right? Pleasure, heart, love, spirit. And they're all just blending into each other. This meditation will kind of confuse you. It's like, what's up, what's down, what's left, right, what's in, out, what's male, what's female, what's sexual, what's spiritual, what's love, what's pleasure, what's spirit. It's going to blend so much, you won't be dualistic in you anymore. And, enlightenment is non-duality. But I've never heard it taught in this way, honestly. Okay, meditation number 7. The starry verse is the hardest. Oh, this is a paragraph where we at. I'm going to read it in 7 minutes. It says, meditation number 7, the starry verse is the hardest meditation, that's true, to practice in level 1. It reverses the flow of the ascending and descending triangles and incorporates the front and back central channels and the sexual energy. Every meditation's energetics from 1 to 6 finds a place within this flow, as all the internal organs are bathed in this meditation's expansive energetics, the starry verse. Compared to the other meditations in level 1, the starry verse is one of the hardest to practice, yet with the proper instruction, it is not hard to learn for most people. The energy of the ascending and descending triangles moves in the opposite direction. Here the energy from the crown, so like third eye, crown, don't be too technical about it. Here the energy from the crown is spread out all the way down to the kidneys, nourishing all the other internal organs in the process. Here the liver, gallbladder, spleen, stomach, and all the internal organs. Those are just relevant ones in the Chinese medical model for this meditation. But everything that's there will be bathed in this. So again, don't be too technical. They receive the energy of this breath. When the descending triangle is breathed into, the energy moves from the sexual organs and spreads out into the lungs and shoulders. Again, I don't think I realized how good this was going to feel until many years later, including last night and today. What the practitioner finds in this meditation is a much more expansive energetic. While still confined within the regions of the star, but that star, remember, it could be not just the one here on the right, but it could be very much the one here on the left. And it's not just rigid lines. This is vortex. And, play with it. We're starting to break away from confines here for sure. Like in our hypnotherapy school, a lot of it can be very rigid. This is how you got to do it. And then once you know the basics, now it's time to get creative and hand you the teachings and let you run with it on your own. Same thing here in a lot of ways. When the descending triangle is breathed into, spreads out, practitioner finds expansive while still confined to the region of the star, it is far freer in its movement. However, with the expansive flows of energies in this meditation, there are still the movements up the back central channel and down the front central channel that keep things well defined. It's actually, again, I'm like in awe of what it is because it breathes this huge expanse of energy up, and that's very diffuse, but then it goes right to a yin, a yang energy of pulling it up the spine, really confined. And then it yin, it expands, but then it yang contracts. And now you could say, which one is it? So expansive could be considered more yang. I could say it's usually the teaching. Expansive could be more yang, contracting could be more yin. Like cold is yin, it contracts. Heat is yang, it expands. But the way I'm referring to it here is when we really contract that energy, to me it's a very yang energetic. It's a powerful male kind of energetic. But then when we're just letting it all go, like a dance, that to me would be more feminine. Meditation number 7 pulls, where are we? Here the ascending and descending energies become much more integrated and the microcosmic orbit is fully introduced. It is important to keep the tip of the tongue on the roof. Oh, I was going to show that picture. There's a good picture of it, but do it real fast. We got 3 minutes. Okay, I think it was here. And let me scroll down a little. Where was it? There's a good picture somewhere in here of tip of the tongue and roof of the mouth. Well, tip of the tongue and roof of the mouth. Sorry about that. I thought it was going to be easy to find. Get a little Vitruvian Man for you. Here's one. So we're inhaling up. Remember, it circulates around and it comes right to here. This is where the governing vessel, the back central channel, the due meridian ends. The REM vessel technically goes up the front to here, but in microcosmic orbit breathing, it goes back down there. So by putting the tip of the tongue here, I don't put it that high up. I put it more towards right at the bony ridge where it rests comfortably. And that's fine. Again, don't be too, so here. You can get very technical, but I would say we're using what here they're calling the wind position. And there's fire position, heaven. I could meditate on that and tell you what I think it means. But honestly, I think it means that these 2 meridians join and you don't have to be that technical, but you could get that subtle if you want to. To me, the energy is just much bigger than that. Okay, so almost done for before break time. Let's go back to finishing the reading. It says, it's important to keep the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth to ensure that the energy is sufficiently making it through the microcosmic orbit. Through persistent practice, this meditation is one of the most powerful of the system as it incorporates so many components in such a focused manner. All right, so we're going to take a break, just 5 minutes. All right, just go to the bathroom, grab a snack if you need to, maybe take a little longer, but 10 minutes I'll get antsy. So I'll see you back in just a little over 5 minutes and we'll continue. And I'm going to stop sharing and pause the recording. All right, so questions from anybody who's here on what we did so far. And then we'll go back after a little break to the training manual, and then we'll get on the cushion. Absolutely. Okay, back to the training manual. The type questions if you got them for sure. All right, so here's the shorter explanation. That's really the same thing. I don't remember. No, my writings, why this came about. So meditation number 7, the starry verse, the short explanation. Meditation number 7, the starry verse. Ascending and descending triangles are represented as before. However, this time the energy flows in the opposite direction than in meditation number 6. Energy moves in the ascending triangle from the crown to the kidneys. Yeah, so when we exhale from this point, it goes down the ascending triangle, covering all of the internal organs in its region. Energy moves in the descending triangle from the sexual organs to the lungs. Energy moves in the descending triangle. Oh, so it's going up the ascending triangle from the sexual organs to the lungs, covering all the internal organs in its region. And again, all the chakras and all the energy meridians. The line in the middle of the symbol represents the microcosmic orbit, containing both the front and back central channels. Energy moves up the back from the sexual organs to the crown, and down the front from the crown to the sexual organs. So it's not really the order of how it goes, it's kind of just an explanation of how it goes. The symbols, right? So here we're talking about the core central channel, up the back, down the front, and then the movement down the ascending triangle, and the movement up the descending triangle. So it's hard, and it'll take some practice. And for me, there was a time when the energy just wanted to go that way. It was like when the meditation was revealed, it was a teaching, and it was clearly revealing that there was a system here. But it was also showing me what it naturally wants to do. So after enough constriction, eventually it releases. But there's still some constriction in the core central channel. But these movements up and down the two triangles are what, well, it's all what really makes it powerful. And it does more than I can explain. You just have to keep doing it to see what it does. When we start a meditation, whenever we start, we pretty much always, bow in, descend, number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you go to 7. And then we have to decide, if it's a decision, where are we going to end the meditation? Are you ending it back at your hara or at your heart? I'm going to suggest ending it at your heart, but there's something about this meditation, just like all the others, where you want to kind of embrace the meditation just by itself. And like last week, we finished the 6-pointed star and we ended at the hearts. I'll see what happens when I'm on the cushion. This is a better way to explain this, but I want you to consider, where do you end when you haven't moved on to the next meditation, for the next week or two, since we're taking a break. So in 2 weeks, where are you letting your energy be most of the time? I would say most of the time it should be the heart, but I want you to just kind of watch what your insides do for 2 weeks of practicing this. You might be like, oh my God, like I don't want to say confused, but I hope you find that your world gets stirred up a bit internally, and just trust it's divine energy. It knows what it's doing. And remember, your external world reflects the inside. So as your insides are really churning and moving and blissing out or clearing blockages, the outside world's going to reflect it for a while. Eventually, the outside world will be just as beautiful as the inside world, because that's how metaphysics works. That's how law of attraction works. You just have to trust that process. All right, so just a little bit of talk on that. Like I said, but let's take a moment on it. I don't know what fruition for this meditation is. It's a constant unfolding. It's when it goes up, so it goes up the descending triangle, but it keeps going for infinity when it goes up. So where does that end? And then when it comes down, it explodes down the ascending triangle into all of the whole manifest universe. I just think it kind of represents the infinity of things, and there's no fruition to infinity. That's that. And then the last page, not a whole lot of insight about when you're ready to move on. It just has to be at your discretion. And also, like I said when we started, it's like a yoga class or like Tai Chi. So when you learn Tai Chi, you do learn to just stand. Like your first pose is just standing. And then, in Tai Chi Chuan, the short form that I'm trained in, the Yang style short form, the hands go up and they come down. So for the first week of class, they teach you how to stand. And then you come back the next week and they teach you how to move your hands like that. Better than what I just did. But you move your hands very, very mindfully. And you do that for a week. And then you come back and you do another movement. That's why you really can't learn Tai Chi from YouTube. And it took 2 years for me to learn the entire Yang style short form. I'm so grateful I did. It was an amazing investment of time, energy, money, and a lot of practice. The benefits are incredible. Anyway, the Anahat system is like an internal Tai Chi. I'm not moving my hands, but I'm absolutely moving my energy. And the energy is really never still. There's always movement. Even in Tai Chi, even if the body is still, the practitioner is still working with the energy internally. Therefore, when you move on to the next meditation, you don't want to wait terribly long because then you never do the whole form. So when I do Tai Chi, I know the beginning of the form far better than I do the end because I'm like always doing the beginning and I practice the beginning a lot. Even when I repeated learning Tai Chi, I always recommend in our hypnotherapy school, do the training again. It's our policy. Current policy, this is a recording, but current policy is you can repeat it at no charge. So, I always recommend do that. The 500 hours, do instituteofhypnotherapy.com, plug. Do the training and then do it again. And then you don't do yoga only once, you keep repeating the flow over and over again, whatever, practice. So same thing here, you're going to get better at the earlier meditations than you will the latter ones. And you want to know about these entire flows. I need to, remind myself, not everybody knows what Tai Chi really is. Or Qigong, you could kind of separate the movements. But in Tai Chi, you can't. It's one complete flow that could take, if you go super slow, which is recommended, it could take at least a half hour to go through the entire flow. Same here with Anahat. All right, so move on when you feel ready. Stopping sharing. I think we covered all the bases. I'm almost ready to get on the cushion. Any questions or comments or sharing from you guys before we get on the cushion? All right, I don't know what you do at home when I do this. I was thinking about it. So I invite you, go grab your cushion and do what you do. And let me get set up. All right. Okay, so we will bow in and maybe I'll take a moment to in silence and just get out of my head and we'll get really into the practice. And we'll go through meditations 1 to 6. And then when the energy is moving in that way, I'll move you into meditation 7 as the official initiation into meditation 7. Let's start reversed. So immediately engage your practice. The moment my hands go here, and then here, I inhale, count 1. Just right away, remember the first thought should start with the movement towards enlightenment and all subsequent thoughts will. First thought starts with illusion, all subsequent thoughts do. So engage your practice right away. It's nice to have the screen to get the perfect alignments, but they're not that important, so don't worry about it, it just looks better on camera. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Spine straight. Low back slightly concave. Shoulders relaxed down. Elbows slightly out, like you're holding 2 eggs under your armpits, but don't focus on that too much. Eventually, we're just going to kind of forget about a lot of the body anyway. Attention down at the hara below the navel. Chest, breastbone, sternum relaxed down. Shoulders soft, chin tucked in slightly. Eyes are open when we begin. You don't always have to do that, but I still recommend it and do it to this day. But you can descend with eyes closed. It's just descending is about being right here. There's no reason for me to breathe and count in silence, so I'll do my best to just keep teaching. And give me a moment. Cultivated power. When I start engaging my practice, I'm cultivating my chi. I'm packing it into the region of the hara. It's intense. I'm like really, really focused. The inhale is into the hara. The exhale keeps the chi there. Inhale hara. Exhale hara. So this left hand's there. So in the picture of Shiv, he's doing this. The energy is locked. So what I'm doing to, oh yeah, okay, yeah. My fingers usually do this. So when I'm doing Tai Chi, quite often my hands naturally, spontaneously form these mudras. This cups and locks the chi, and then this is shooting it up the spine. But that's not part of the meditation practice, but it happens a lot in my movement practice. Just enjoy this time to get quiet, to be right here now. Practice just sitting, meditation 1. Descending, just sitting here. Nobody would know what's going on inside of me. No past, no future, no mind wandering. It's okay if it wanders, but when it does, come back to breathing and counting. And if there is such a thing as a goal, it's when you can just sit here and breathe and count, descend it in your body. Fully human. Remember the idea of the wisdom of no escape. And then I felt fruition occur for that one. I was like, fully here. So now we'll go up the core central channel, not the front channel or back channel, up to the heart. The initial breaths, inhale to heart, exhale, pulling it up, inhale, exhale, right? Inhale up, exhale to heart. But then eventually, we're only at the heart. So meditation, the transition to, there's like a transition, the number 2, pull it up, exhale, pull up, exhale. Do that as long as you want to. And then eventually you're just heart-centered. My eyes are still going to be open, I think. And I'm going to focus on love at the heart. This is universal. You might use an individual person or whatever to open to love, but really your heart should just be 360, all directions, just love. And that's going to include self-love and love for all beings, love for a partner if they're there, but in a holy relationship, not a special relationship, to use Course in Miracles terms. So a holy relationship, when it's appropriate, you can do this with kind of anybody. I mean, I'm encouraging monogamy and safe sex and stay committed to your relationship, but On the astral plane, you can merge with anybody. So being appropriate and professional, whatever, um, let your heart be open to loving all beings. And there's no reason why if you meet somebody, like, yeah, I want to meditate with you. Why can't two people meditate together? Tantra is a whole other thing, but have your heart fully open with everyone. But just not even in meditation, like your whole life is just open heart, big, open, loving heart. So that's what we'll focus on now. Not just having the word love in my mind, I'm encouraging you to breathe in count. But the energetic of it is like, it's like my energy is like, I love you. I love you. Like extending love. That's what the heart is meant to do. It's meant to extend love or project love. That's the natural state of your heart. Nothing else. Sadness, hurt, fear, anger, guilt, that doesn't belong. It's okay, but stop suppressing that stuff. Be willing to let it go. Only love. Just breathe in your heart. Only love. The benefit of having descended first is all the energy is contained and present. So it's right in my heart. I'm not wandering. I'm in my heart and I'm just pure, open the pure love. Just only love. Only love. And then this is actually more expansive. If you're really, when I taught you before, we're taking concentrated energy, we're pulling it here, but the heart is really meant to be open and expansive. So I encourage you to be aware of that. I felt my eyes spontaneously close, so feel free to do that. And notice with my eyes closed, I like to just kind of forget about my body. So I'm going to stop Maha Mudra and just let one hand rest on the other for now. If my hands move again, I'll let you know. With the heart, breathing into the heart. Only love. The inhale does pull the energy into the heart center. The exhale is what expands it. Inhale, breathe into the heart. Exhale, open and expand your heart. Just only love. And yet we're focused because we learned that in descending. My chin is going just up a tiny bit. Energy is getting ready to move up the spine. My knees went wider to form a solid base so I can forget about the body. Now I'm inhaling up the core central channel, embracing the hara a little just to gather all energy that's still low, pulling it up to the heart, pulling it up to the third eye, up to the crown, up to spirit, exhaling in spirit. Inhaling up the core central channel, even a little bit of hara, heart, head, and more attention going to the head. Now kind of like third chakra, solar plexus, heart, inhale, head, exhale, head, inhaling heart, throat, third eye, crown, exhale, spirit, inhaling above the heart, exhaling into spirit. I'm going above my throat to the third eye, inhale. Exhale up in that region, consciousness. If you like to practice a little bit of what's called Kumbhak Pranayam, you can. It's when you inhale and hold the breath on the top of the inhalation. It'll help to move us towards the Samadhi teachings. So just practice, don't strain, but inhale and hold the breath just for a few seconds. At the third eye region, at the crown, focusing in spirit, consciousness, if that helps. And practice no mind during the inhalation when you're not breathing. Never strain, and this isn't a mandatory part of the practice to do Kumbhak Pranayam, but as you exhale, expand the awareness of the head. It's like your halo. I'm pulling all my energy in inhalations. Like it feels like, I guess you'd say the pineal gland, but I don't really focus on a physical gland in the body. But I'm pulling it like to the center of my brain almost. But it's not my body, it's spirit, consciousness. Behind the eyes, between the ears, I am spirit. I am pure peace. I am pure bliss. I'm meditating on the conscious bliss. This is called Anand Samadhi, meditating on bliss. Kumbhak, as you inhale, you hold the breath gently. If you really know what you're doing, you can pull Mula and Uddiyana Bandha here, root locking and upward rising. And we're pulling the energy up the spine, holding Kumbhak, Pranayam. And if this is too advanced for you, just breathe and count in your third eye region. Or Kumbhak Pranayam, inhaling at the third eye. Exhaling quietly, keeping the energy way up. I'm in the ascending upper triangle. But really, I'm just focusing on spirit. I'm the lover. Spirit, God is the beloved. I'm not doing Kumbhak right now. It's not necessary, but if it helps you, go ahead. We won't get into it today, but we will eventually. I'm really focusing on Samadhi, and that requires a lot of teaching. But simply for now, just engage your practice. Breathe and count, or use a mantra if you like, and focus on spirit. From here, my hand just went to my knees spontaneously. My knees went wider again. We're going to inhale, pull the energy down to the sexual organs, and exhale at the sexual organs. You're not leaving spirit. Don't feel like, oh, I don't want to come out of that. Inhale and pull all of that down to, the sexual organs. And exhale, keep it there. Just put your hands wherever they're comfortable. This is unexcited sexual energy, but it is an acknowledgement of sexual energy. And you're more than welcome to let that feel good, because you're not your own creator. It's just what's at the bottom of your descending triangle. Inhale to the sexual organs, exhale, keep the energy there. I'm not forgetting about spirit, but I am putting a lot of attention on sexual energy. And it's going down through my heart, so love has to go with it. This is a descending triangle to the sexual energy. And so love is part of the equation. Spirit is part of the equation. Remember, there's really only spirit, love, and pleasure in an open system. Not only, but those are three good words. I would say you're ready to move on here. Fruition of this is when you'll feel it. You'll feel sexual energy. It'll feel good. It's pleasure. And that's like all that's happening. No mind wandering, no past, no future, just the energy of spirit descending down and aware of sexual energy. Now, meditation 5, circulation. We'll inhale And I'm going to engage the cranial and sacral pumps here, but you don't have to. You tilt the pelvis forward a little bit. Tailbone pulls back away from the sexual energy, so the low back will be concave even more. Head goes back just a little. Exhale, circulate it through the brain. Inhaling, sexual energy up the back central channel. This is your dew meridian. Exhale, in the region of the crown, third eye, all through the brain. Again, inhale up. Exhale, circulate and embrace spirit here. Everything about the higher chakras. Inhale, sexual energy up the spine, but up the back. Exhale in the region of the crown. You're sublimating, transforming sexual energy into spirit. Inhaling up. Exhaling at the head. There's a teaching, and I don't want to get too heady about it, but I'm going to explain. Jing, Qi, Shen. In the lower region of the hara, we have what's called Jing, sexual energy. In the heart, we have love. I call that right now Qi. So the sexual energy, Jing, is more densified. It's a substance. It's like, semen, if you will. So that's Jing, substance, sexual energy. As we inhale it up to the heart level, it's transforming into Qi or Shakti. It's getting purified. It's not as dense. And then it's in the love of the heart. As we inhale that all the way up to the head, then the Qi becomes Shen. Shen is spirit. That's one word in Chinese for spirit. So we took sexual energy, Jing, up through the heart, Qi, love, and then up into the head, Shen, or spirit. So we'll keep going, inhaling, sexual energy up the spine, and if you can feel the snake-like channels of Ida and Pingala Nadi, and then those are there. For me, this is kind of a surrender to God. It's saying, I'm not going to let my sexual energy go out into this world. God, I'm letting it go up to you. It's all contained in these grids. And it feels complete. When I'm really not aware of the sexual energy anymore, that region just feels neutral. Neutral is a good word. Potential, but neutral. All the energy is in the head now. Now I'm ready for meditation 6. So fruition of that, of 5, circulation, is when all the Jing turned into Qi, turns into Shen, and all you're really aware of is Shen and Qi, Shiva and Shakti, yin and yang, consciousness and light, and bliss, and amplified because the sexual energy is now there. Now we're ready for meditation. And that, again, that's fruition. And maybe you call that mastery, but you don't have to get that. I'm just helping you understand. As you inhale next, we're ready for meditation 6, the 6-pointed star. Inhale up the ascending triangle. You keep your hands still. I'm just using my hands to demonstrate if you're looking. Exhale down to the shoulders. I did it a few times, so I'll definitely explain what each one does and how good it feels. Inhale to the hara, but let's just go to sexual energy, but you don't always have to, but you can't avoid it in meditation 7. So inhale to the hara, sexual energy region. Exhale to the kidneys, that level. Inhale up to the third eye, crown. Exhale to the shoulders. Inhale, sexual energy, hara, focus. Exhale, level the kidneys. Base of the ascending triangle. Inhale up the ascending triangle through the heart, the spirit. Exhale, spirit descends down to the shoulders. Inhale, hara, sexual energy, descending. Exhale, kidneys level. Inhale up through the heart, descending to spirit. I'm going to stop with my hands now, although that felt nice. Inhaling to spirit, exhaling to the shoulders. Inhaling hara and sexual energy, descending fully. Exhale to the kidneys. Inhale to spirit. Exhale to the shoulders. Inhale, hara, sexual energy. Exhale, kidneys and the internal organs there. Inhale up to spirit. Exhale, shoulder. Inhale, hara. And again, in sexual energy, I won't keep saying that. Exhale, kidneys. Inhale, ascending to spirit. Exhale, shoulders, lungs, open your heart, let it descend into your body. Inhale, gather it to the heart. Again, end sexual energy. Exhale to the kidneys. Inhale, third eye, crown, spirit. Exhale, shoulder, heart, throat open. Inhale, gather all that, descending. Exhale, level the kidneys. Inhale, spirit. Exhale, shoulders. Inhale, descend all the way down. Exhale, kidneys. Inhale, ascending. Exhale, descend to shoulders level. Relax your shoulders. Inhale, sexual energy through the hara. Cultivate, gather the chi. Exhale, kidney. We'll take a moment in silence. Let's keep going. So when am I ready to move on? Well, it's perfected itself. There's no blocks. I'm totally focused. I'm not doing anything but moving the energy through the pattern to the star. It's not that constricted. It's beautiful. It's delicious. It's perfectly balanced. My hands, just for demonstration, are moving through the patterns of the star. But what I'm feeling is perfection. The ascending triangle is fully there. It's totally open and clear. And the descending triangle, fully open and clear. The heart, fully open and clear. And sexual energy is at peace, but it's deliciously moving through my system. Aware of spirit, I have devotion, I love, what we'll call God, the beloved, the being that is in me as me, right? And that's in you as you. So, you don't have to get all that before you move on to this next meditation, but meditation 6 is very profound. Well, let's move on. I'm going to inhale up to the third eye, crown region. I'll still use my hands for now. Exhale down the ascending triangle. Inhale down the front central channel to the sexual energy. Exhale up the descending triangle, sexual energy to the lungs region. Inhale up the back central channel, up to spirit. Exhale down the ascending triangle. Inhale down the front central channel, the red meridian, to sexual energy. Feel it. Exhale, move that up, reverse it up the descending triangle, the lungs region. Inhale up the back central channel to the head. Exhale down the ascending triangle to the level of the kidneys. Or even more, it's very expensive. Inhaling down the front central channel to the sexual energy. Gather it, that's very focused. And take the gathered focus energy at the sexual organs and release it up to the lungs region. Inhale up the back central channel to spirit. Very focused. And take this focused energy up here, focus, and then release it down like a waterfall down the ascending triangle. But then take that expansive energy, inhale, contract it back to the sexual energy. Gather, 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 and then exhale, expand it up. The descending triangle. Inhale up the back central channel, the spirit. I'm naturally pulling the sacral and cranial pumps, but you don't have to. Exhale down the ascending triangle to the kidneys. Inhale down the front central channel to sexual energy. Exhale up to the lung. Inhale back central channel to spirit. Gather your awareness in spirit. Exhale down the ascending triangle to the kidneys level. Inhale down the front central channel, the microcosmic orbit, to the sexual energy. Exhale, disperse it up to the lungs and your heart. Everything up there gets bathed in that. Inhale up back central channel to spirit. Exhale down the ascending triangle to the level of the kidneys and internal organs. Inhale front central channel to sexual energy. Exhale sexual energy up to the lungs, heart region. Inhale up the back central channel to spirit. Exhale spirit down to the ascending triangle. Inhale front central channel to sexual energy. Exhale, move that up through your whole body. I'm going to take a moment in silence because I'm more technical than I am fully feeling it. So just practice in silence for a moment. I'm not using the cranial and sacral pumps or my hands. That was just more for the overt demonstration. Everything is happening internally. I'm using a little bit of Kumbhak Pranayam right now anyway, to hold the breath a little on the top of inhalations. Tiny pause at the bottom of the exhalation there. Part of how you know you're getting all of this is just because you're only doing that. There's nothing else. There's no thinking. There's no philosophy. There's no searching. The only thing I'm doing is just inhaling up to spirit, this pure, this just me and spirit, it's me and God. And exhaling, that energy is pour down through my body, like this outpouring of light down to the whole being. And I inhale and gather that light to the sexual energy, and it's like, oh God, that feels good. And I exhale and I move up the spine and up the descending triangle. And it's just like internally orgasmic, and then I gather all that up to spirit, hold. So in Tantra, when there's sexual energy, you can tense the body and pull it all up the spine to spirit. So I'm pulling Uddiyana Bandha, upward rising my obliques. I'm pulling Mula Bandha, locking at the root, setting the energy up the spine, the spirit. And then exhaling, let it come down into the body. That's down the ascending triangle. Inhaling again, down to the sexual energy, regathering it all. Exhaling it up the descending triangle to the lungs and the heart. My heart opens to love here, and I'm like breathing, inspiring in spirit, breathing in God with an inhale up the back central channel, up to pure spirit, and then exhaling pure spirit down into my body. Inhale front central channel to the sexual energy. Exhale up through the lungs and shoulders. And just keep going. Inhale up the back. You could do it all day. Your inside should be so delicious. Remember, God is the breath within the breath. And when the sitting period is complete, for whatever reason, if it falls asleep or you're just kind of done, then I'm just going to check again where it feels most appropriate to end, at least at this moment. Yeah, it's definitely the heart. I don't want you to be too expansive and out there. So take all that energy above, below. I'm going right to my heart, to my hands, just went to prayer to my heart. And my elbows are down, it's more of a relaxed. The thumbs are right there in my sternum. The thumbs touch REM 17 is the active point, right at the very center of your sternum for your heart. Not the only one for your heart, but right at the level of the nipples, right at the center of the sternum. Thumbs are there. And I'm still open to all the love of God. All the ascending spirit stuff is right here now. You don't have to go anywhere to find it. My heart, fully open to love. Like there's only love. Excuse me. Consciousness, light, spirit. And the sexual energy is just pleasantly there. It's not too stirred up where I can't function. And just move on with my day. But like I said, I've been trying to explain throughout the training now, what does activated sexual energy mean? It's there all the time. So we're not leaking it out. It's just part of our inner being of love, pleasure, spirit. Spirit, pleasure, love. And not even knowing which comes first. Well, the spirit, there's love, there's pleasure, and it's all in my heart right now. So remember, Anahat, the symbol at your heart, 12-petaled lotus, and the 6-pointed star. The heart is the balance of ascending and descending. Hmm. All right, so I'm going to bow out. So I'm going to go back to the chair and let's do some question and answer time. All right, I'd love to hear from you guys. I won't take too much longer. It's, been about 3 hours, so I think that should be good. All right, how are we doing? How was that? Feeling good? Confused? I'd love to hear feedback of those of you who are here live, what that was like for you while I take a drink. Nice, beautiful, and very intense. Yummy. Okay. I used to teach a class called Yummy and Delicious Spiritual Yoga. So it should feel yummy. Anything else? There's a lot more of you here than the two who commented. A bit confusing. Yeah, it can be. I have no memory of the meditation 6. Someone said amazing. Cool. What do you mean no meditate? So if you're confused, definitely feel free to ask questions. And it'll take some study. Like I said, this is the hardest one, so don't get discouraged. It's just, if you're doing Tai Chi, you'd be like, man, that pose is really hard. I can't figure it out. And you practice it for a week. And when you come back to class, your teacher helps you to get better with it. Sitting actually made it make more sense. Yeah, you have to practice it. Not as confusing as expected. It's not too bad. There's really, if you just do microcosmic orbit breathing, you breathe up the back, down the front. And that's really a pretty simple thing. Then we have an inhale to here and an exhale that flows down. Then we have an exhale down to the sexual organs and an exhale that goes up. And then I've never experienced anything like this meditation. Like, this was totally not learned in some other school or class or ashram or anything. Like, this is just what happened to me alone in meditation in the woods. And yeah, it's the harder one, but it's not too hard to grasp. Soothing to the body, nice, good. So what do you mean? Okay, yeah, the person said no memory in meditation 6. During the meditation, I was gone and can't even remember when we got to the last meditation. I just remember finishing. Okay, that's an important point. The idea of amnesia in altered states, or something I believe I'm going to use this term. It might not be exactly what you're experiencing, but it's worth talking about for where we're going with all this, like the out-of-body stuff. When you start getting advanced enough in meditation, you start feeling really good, you go into what's called yoga nidra, or yogic sleep. So you're not fully there, but you're not there. It's like a hypnotic state. It's the hypnagogic state when you're waking up in the morning or you're falling asleep at night. Or in some ways, it's like what we call in hypnosis, highway hypnosis, where you're driving down the road and then you pass your exit. Oh, where was I? That, I'm not positive that's what our student here is talking about, but you don't want that in meditation. It's pleasant, it's easy, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with it, but you won't move into super consciousness while you move into that state of yoga nidra, we'll call it yogic sleep. You don't want any amnesia of the experience. So it, excuse me, when you move to what's called a non-samadhi, the bliss of oneness with God in meditation in yourself, the practice that got you there, whatever that practice is, all this stuff will get you there. And it'll get you there actually really powerfully in ways I've never experienced before in other systems. When you're moving into a non-samadhi, there's going to be a tendency to drift off. Avoid that. You stay supremely conscious. Samadhi is super consciousness, not semi-consciousness. So I really hope that helps everybody, because as one of our students said, when you're starting to practice out-of-body travel, the first step is body asleep, mind awake. To keep your body in this incredible state, especially when you're falling asleep at night, but not to consciously be asleep. The body will be asleep, but you're still supremely awake. That's a practice, and that can take years, honestly. One of our students here who's advanced in her practice, is still saying she can't quite get that state yet. That is, years of practice. I mean, for me, okay, I mean, we all start in different places, but I would say the out of body experiences started about 2 to 3 years into my intense meditation practice. So, yeah, don't expect that, oh, you went through hypnotherapy training and you had 2 hours about astral projection that you can never leave your body. Or you're doing those hypnosis meditations that I have about it. Out of body experiences, conscious, voluntary experiences are very advanced. Okay, let's see what you guys wrote. So, thank you for sharing, everybody. During the meditation, okay, we got that one. Go up twice, down twice. Yeah. I gotta, think it out, but inhale, up. Well, yeah, it's like an inhale up to get there, then an exhale down, then an inhale down. And yeah, so it'd be in, I just gotta do it internally. So yeah, if I start with the back central channel and inhale up, I exhale down from here, and then I inhale down, I exhale up, and I inhale back up. So I think you're yes, but it's just the order things go. How do we go from the exhale to the lungs to inhale to the head again? I can see the energy flowing, moving, but it seems to jump at the step, not as fluid. It doesn't feel like that at first, I understand, because when they start coming to me, I'm like, whoa, it's so different. But once you get it, it's totally intuitive. It totally makes sense. You're never, so what it's forcing you to do actually is to be in all places simultaneously. And that was my biggest issue. As you remember the introductory talk, I was in the woods meditating like 10 to 12 plus hours a day with one question in mind. How do you be fully grounded and fully open to spirit with a fully open heart? That question started all of this. I don't know if I had it quite as refined as that question, but I was saying, how can I be fully functional like a Zen practitioner and fully drunk on God like Ramakrishna, God intoxicated mystics? And nobody can give me the answer. Then the system came about. So so those are your question for what part of it you're talking about, exhale to the lungs, but now we have to, it's not like all of you goes here. Part of you should still be aware of your sexual energy and your lower chakras and your lower parts of your body there, because that's still there. So you don't have amnesia of the other part. So I can breathe up to here, but I can also pull, I know you can't see my hands totally, but I can pull all the energy up. I can exhale here down, but I can inhale from here down. So it's causing you to have to be in all of your chakras simultaneously. And that is the biggest aha moment for me in spirituality, is how to be in all of them. The star did it. Right? The star makes you be in all of these, but you can be up here, then down, then kidneys, then here. That's getting all of them, but the system showed me that's not complete integration. And we're not even done with the whole system yet. All right, so it'll get more fluid for sure. Somebody said, please share, what color do you visualize the first chakra? I personally don't visualize colors on the chakra, and in fact, I don't visualize. You can. Visualization is definitely a practice, and if you want to do it, it's okay, because the visual imagery becomes part of your movement into samadhi. All right, so if you had your eyes open and you were meditating on a picture of the chakras, then that image would be your first step in meditation. But then you would close your eyes and feel or visualize your chakras. And the color for the first chakra is usually red. So if you're going to use colors, I do ascribe to the rainbow color of the chakras. I think that whole Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The colors of the rainbow, the colors of the spectrum make a lot of sense. Other seers, psychics, have been able to see chakras and attributed different colors. And I think there's truth to that, because they're not always the same color necessarily. Yet, when you're practicing and we want to be consistent, then I always consider the first chakra to be red. And then you guys can just look online, easily see images of the chakras with those 7 colors. But the most important thing I would say is don't get too caught up in the visuals, because visualization will always be something you have to let go of at some point. right? You actively visualizing. I mean, it's okay, because visualization would be like mantra or counting your breath. And therefore, I'm saying, like, it's okay. But I can just tell you personally, yeah, I just don't do any visualization practice at all. Remember, what you visualize is not reality. I'm a devotee of truth. Visualization is always make believe. You say, yeah, but I'm like so here's a pen, right? So that's the real thing. If I use the word pen, that's once removed from the reality of, I'm sorry, twice removed from the reality of pen. If you visualize this in your mind right now, then it's once removed from the reality of pen. But in meditation, I want the real deal. Right? So I'm encouraging you, yes, you can count, you can meditate, you can do mantra, you can visualize, but in the end, you'll just be with the reality. Like if I say, breathe into your heart, take a breath, feel your heart. I'm not asking you to visual. I'm not saying visualize that heart shape. I'm not saying visualize the physical organ of the heart, right? You kind of feel that area. Like if I said, put your hands here and take a breath into your heart and feel love. I am very kinesthetic, I admit, yet I also feel the feeling what's there. Like I feel love. I don't visualize love. Right? If you say, well, what color's the heart chakra? Green. And now you're visualizing green light. You really should be focusing on love, not the color green. And then if you notice, hey, love here is green. Great. I don't notice it. Honestly, it's green in my heart, but I do feel tremendous love in my heart. Great. Thank you for that question. Somebody said, Matthew, can you say slowly again all the steps of this step? Yes. It depends on where you start, but if we start with the first inhalation, it's going to be an inhalation of the back central channel to the crown. So inhale up back central channel to crown. That's 1. 2, exhale from crown down the ascending triangle to level the kidneys. Then 3, inhale down, front central channel from crown, third eye region, to sexual energy. And then exhale from sexual energy up to the lungs. That was slow, but I know I've been repeating it a lot. So my recommendation would be just look at the training manual and it'll be written right there exactly. And then you get some sense from the pictures of the way the energy can go. Somebody said, in holy relationships, if or when the pair finds that it is appropriate and decides to have children together, is this meditation appropriate for children, preferably meditations 1, 2, and 3? Moreover, at which age should we begin the introduction to the latter meditations to children to clarify when they've matured and an appropriate age? I don't have an answer for that. When the revelations came to me, which is pretty much what I trust, there was no insight about, and at this age, you can teach it to this person. I was just taught I would teach it to anybody. The sexual energy stuff, as I kind of forgot how sexual the system is because I don't teach it. I was doing it myself, and I feel sexual energy all the time. The real warning, age obviously matters. Talk to 10-year-olds about this, but we're talking about moving a lot of very powerful energy. You get a very horny teenager doing this, they're going to express it in weird ways. I would really like to see this taught to those who are mature. You use that word, mature. But like you say, hey, but this is my spiritual path. I want to share with my children. I don't think it's appropriate to share Tantra or Tao of love and sex teachings with children. We don't talk about semen retention with children or drinking urine with children. We don't talk about multiple full body orgasms with children. I think the answer, honestly, is when somebody's ready to hear those kind of things, then okay. If not, yeah, breathe into your hara. Learn what it's like to be a Zen monk, when you're 10 years old. Open your heart to love. That's for anybody. Go to spirit. That's for anybody. I would honestly leave out meditation 4 and 5 for people who I don't think are ready for sexual energy. You can do this meditation. Number 6 can be done. The 6-pointed star can be done. So meditation 6. Remember, you can go to the hara there. You don't have to go down to the genitals. And this meditation, same thing. You really could just go to the hara. And that's what I was doing for years. I don't think I really grasped just how sexual this meditation is, but I wouldn't be doing justice to you if I didn't teach it with that. But yeah, you can just breathe to the hara, exhale up from the hara, inhale down to the hara. All right, so just make it about the hara. Yeah, I would only talk about sacred sexuality, which is really what this is, with somebody who's mature enough to talk about that anyway. So that's my best answer, but again, I don't have any revelations about how to teach it to young people. Thank you. I record sessions on phone so I can listen each day. I really enjoy your words leading through meditations with the teachings added in so that I can take in again and again. Thank you. These classes make it easier to learn. Sure, of course. Yeah, I mean, you know, my books are out there, all the recordings, all, you know, it's like the stuff is out there, but yeah, you know, I thought today would just be a 2-hour class because I forget just how much I know and just how much is happening internally. I literally thought we're just going to talk about 4 energy movements and that's it. So yeah, you do need, you know, I've studied with meditation teachers for years, you know, like sometimes intense for like, you know, months on end, where it's like every day we're meeting, and but we're talking countless hours, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. And you would think like, but I'm just supposed to sit. Why, you know, breathe and count, breathe and count. Why would that be so hard? But obviously meditation goes extremely deep, extremely advanced. I mean, I take 500 hours to teach people hypnotherapy, and honestly, this stuff is more advanced than hypnotherapy teaching. So yeah, be patient, everybody. Thank you. That was my thoughts exactly. Ascending, descending, 6-point star meditations. Yeah, I think that's safe to say. And we're working towards the idea that you guys could, those who want to become certified meditation teachers and like hot meditation teachers. Like I've said, I really believe you should be very professional, very discreet. You know, I do want to share more with everybody here about how this integrates more and more with Tantra, as I was doing tonight with some of the screen share. But yeah, I'm going to be very discreet about all that stuff for sure. I have the books, but having you live is such a gift. Thank you. Well, I'm honored, and it feels great for me. And I'm learning the system better because I'm practicing it more than ever before, and you know, refining again. So, just the closing words to keep refining your diet, everyone. If you can let go of meat, it's really helpful. My breakfast, I'm just doing 2 pieces of Ezekiel bread now. I haven't been able to do only that. I do that with almond cream cheese. Kite Hill is making this great almond cream cheese, and I'm kind of addicted to cream cheese, but that's totally vegan. And then, so 1 piece of bread with almond cream cheese, and the other one with hummus, and maybe a piece of soy cheese. So that's all breakfast is, and I haven't been able to eat that light in a very long time. And then lunch is just quinoa, kale. I can't even find red chard right now. So quinoa, kale, and some beans, and then just like a really light sauce to make it pleasant. Maybe a little Parmesan cheese, but that's it. And then pretty much the same thing for dinner. So I'm eating very pure, very light. I'm exercising an hour every single day. I was out hiking up serious mountain trails today, you know, for like half hour up, half hour back. And so just encouraging to you guys, I'm doing 3 or 4 times a week. Workout routine that I like to show you that involves a lot of stretching, a lot of movement, like really refined stuff with full flexor chains and advanced working out techniques. And then, yeah, every night, usually around now, 7 o'clock or so Pacific time, I will start doing gentle yoga for about a half hour to an hour. And then I'll just start going into Anahata meditation for as long as I feel that, you know, it's sometimes like, you know, in 5 minutes, I can get through the whole system and feel amazing. And other times it just go on for hours just because it keeps unfolding in glorious ways. So yeah, let me encourage you guys to keep improving every aspect of your life. And then we'll get into, at some point, I do want to introduce the Life Mastery course here, Manifesting Prosperity Teachings. There is a Manifesting Prosperity hypnotic programming recording I hope you've seen on the Anahata website now. I'm sure we'll be adding more over time. Meditations and higher consciousness are there. Peace under all circumstances teachings are there. So there's so much stuff. It's onlinemonastery.com. And I hope while you're living at home, it can significantly benefit your spirituality in all aspects of your life by engaging this. All right, anything else before we stop recording and wrap it up? All right, I'm going to stop recording and I'm still here. If you have any questions or sharing, take care, everybody. Remember, for those of you here live, no class next Sunday. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And most likely we'll start with meditations 8 and 9, that next lesson. All right, thank you, everyone, and good night.